Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be seen. Thank you. Good
We
to see
were
you.
supposed to be doing the end of the year, but unfortunately, you got caught with the cooties.
I did. And
What'd you get?
I can officially announce that the end of 2024 is right now.
Well,
Been waiting for that.
the calendar's all bullshit anyway. It's supposed to be on that old one that's 13 months.
There you go.
So what happened? What'd you catch?
Well, I thought I had bronchitis. Everybody in the house had it, and we go to CrossFit, and they all had it. I go to CrossFit Jack's, and my trainer's Megan Russell there, and she's going, you might want to take it easy a little bit. Of course, I'm smoking cigarettes, and I got bronchitis, and I go to a clinic. They give me some drugs. Yeah, you got bronchitis. Go home. A couple days later, I'm sleeping in my chair, and my wife has one of those little oxygen monitor things that you put on your finger. She wakes me up and goes, all right, let's go. What do you mean, let's go? Oxygen levels, you're going to the hospital. What? I'm just sitting here taking a nap. No, you're going to the hospital. So I said, okay. So it's late at night. We go to St. Vincent's Clinic, go in. It's late. And sitting there waiting for the doctor, Arian F. Sherry, great guy, it turns out. He comes in and looking at me. He's young enough to be one of my kids. He goes, stethoscope, listening to my lungs. He goes, do you smoke? I said, yeah. He says, you need to quit. I said, I just did. He goes, what? I said, I just did. I'm done. Now what do we do? He goes, well, next you're going to the hospital. This is just a clinic. I said, what do you mean I'm going to the hospital? He says, you haven't got bronchitis. You got pneumonia. And I think you got double pneumonia. So you're going right now.
What's double pneumonia?
Both lungs.
Oh.
The bad kind.
The bad kind.
He says, but the good news is you don't have bronchitis. I said, okay.
I guess that's good news.
And that was about the time I was supposed to be in the studio with you, just a couple of days before that.
Wow.
And I'm going, wow, this kind of screw up my plans. As you know, best made plans and all that.
Listen, the plans are all bullshit. We made those up.
Yeah.
We'll do it at the end of the year. It doesn't have to be that.
All right. Well, thanks for the invite. I look forward to it this year.
I'm just happy that you're okay.
I am okay.
The date didn't matter. Things happen.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you recovered. And I'm glad you quit smoking, too.
Yeah, he says, you need to quit smoking. I did, and went to the hospital, was in there for almost 5 days, and I haven't been in a hospital in a while, but they have it. St. Vincent's did a great job. The nurses have their little machines they wheel around, and they come in your room it seemed like quite often, to check your vitals, to do this, to do intravenous, to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in there and couldn't sleep. So I'm one of those guys that if you walk by the door and you see an old guy sitting on a bed looking out the door, that's me. So I maybe got an hour, 2 hours of sleep at night.
Did you have a hard time kicking the cigarettes? Because you've been smoking like your whole life, right?
I did. I've smoked for over 50 years. And I know it's bad for me, and I've never been an anti-smoking crusader. But if anything good comes of my appearance with you today, was that this Dr. F. Shari, total stranger, guy I never met before in my life, happened to tell me at the right exact time, you need to quit. And I've been thinking I need to quit for a long time. My loved ones told me that, my wife, my kids. And I never, okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a weird thing because it kills you slowly. And along the way, it gives you just a little bit of happiness. A little bit of happiness while it kills you slowly. And it's not just a problem of killing you slowly, it's how it's going to kill you. The way it's going to kill you, it's going to suffocate you.
Yep.
I have a friend, my friend Mike, who owns the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. And he was trying to convince a friend of mine to quit smoking because his wife is a nurse. I believe so. I believe not out of school. But he was explaining that the way people die of lung cancer, the way people die at the end. And he's like, it's horrible. Like, it's hard. You don't see that. You just hear he died of cancer. You don't see what the final days are like. and it's avoidable. It's avoidable.
Yeah, well, since I quit, I don't cough anymore.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. I can breathe better, and I'm still getting better from the pneumonia.
I'm sure.
Because it takes a while to get over that. But
Yeah, I was amazed that you could still fly so quickly.
We drove.
You drove from Alaska?
No, from Florida.
Oh, that's right. Florida in the winter.
We were in Florida, and
How long did that take, though? That's a couple days.
it was a couple days.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we had stuff we didn't want to put on the airlines.
Got it. Wink. Government.
I'm just teasing. We wanted a road trip. We wanted a little adventure. You fly over this country at 45,000 feet, and you're looking out the window. It's a big country.
It happens in 2 hours.
That's right. And you're looking out, and suddenly you see a little dot and see some houses, and you go, I wonder what those people do down there.
That's a real problem with people who don't venture outside of the bubbles. If they're in those left-wing liberal bubbles like New York and California, the people that don't travel. What helped me a lot is doing stand-up on the road.
Oh, boy.
Because I was everywhere. So I would go to all these different towns all over the country. You get to see a whole different group of people, a whole different kind of people. And, it's like people are the same and different everywhere you go. And this idea that the people in the middle are stupid, especially now, that's a really dumb way to look at it because of the internet. Now everybody kind of has access to information. And you're going to have dumb people and you're going to have smart people no matter where you go, including in the cities. But the problem in the cities is the dumb people can trick you because they believe the things that the smart people believe. And they say them loudly. And so they think they're smart. So this is a way to be smart without actually being smart. Just say the things that smart people say and say it like you're defending it and you're defending freedom or science or some shit, democracy, whatever it is. You just yell it out. And then the smart people won't say anything because you're saying the things that they want to say. And the other people are like, hey, I know what you're doing. And it more than anything, it turns people off.
Exactly. And by traveling, you have a chance at having an adventure.
Yeah.
Something cool could happen.
Yeah, you run into interesting characters.
All right, it's February, and by now, 80% of people have probably abandoned their New Year's resolutions. And it makes sense. Life can get crazy, and all of a sudden, you don't have the time. But one easy habit to stick with is AG1. It's an easy, realistic habit that you can make to benefit your whole body health. AG1 makes hard-to-get micronutrients easy to get and replaces multiple vitamins and supplements with just one scoop. You just mix it in some cold water, take a nice moment in the morning to do your body right. And honestly, it tastes pretty good. It's not easy to pack this many high-quality ingredients with this much nutrient density, but AG1 makes it happen without added sugars or artificial sweeteners ever. AG1 is a great way to invest in your health now and in the long run, which is why I've partnered with them for so long. Try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3+K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. That's a $76 value gift for free when you go to drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. Check it out.
Regular humans just living different lives. And they're all over the place. And they're all unique. That's the cool thing about this country. If you really did have the time. That's what I loved about Anthony Bourdain's show. Especially the first one that he had was you'd go to these like little hot dog stands in New Jersey and you just hang out with people and street food and you just get a bigger picture of humans and life.
When we got to I forget, Texas, there was a place called Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that crazy? First time you go there, you're like, what the hell is this place?
200 gas pumps.
Yeah.
I went, what are you doing? We paid $1.47 a gallon. That's three times less than what I pay in Alaska.
Oh, yeah. Alaska's got to be rough, right? But meanwhile, that's where they get the oil. Isn't the oil like real close to there?
Runs right through my property. I helped build that sumbitch. So, anyways, I've never understood the economics of how that works.
California's the worst. I believe the way we tried to figure this out the other day, I don't think we got to the bottom of it, though. I think California has to use gasoline that's refined in California. So it's one of the reasons why. And then I'm sure crazy fucking carbon taxes, whatever. They ramp up some extra shit to make it more expensive because you're looking at a price per gallon that's like a couple bucks more a gallon always than it is here. As soon as we came here, I was like, what happened to gas price? Why is it so less here?
You get a little plastic bottle of water, right? 12 ounces.
Yeah.
You look at that bottle, you'll pay $2 for it in a 7-Eleven, for that little bottle of water. 4 of those bottles of water make a gallon. You're paying $8 a gallon for water. Water is the most abundant thing on the planet. It's everywhere.
Right.
Except in some parts of California. Apparently they didn't want to have the reservoirs filled up.
Well, they had to put a lid on it, John. There's a lid, and the lid was broken.
Remember we talked about that 60-foot diameter water line coming down from southeast Alaska to California?
Yeah.
That would have been helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that. Like, if they can do that with oil, why can't they do that with water?
Because they're afraid there'd be a water leak in the Pacific Ocean. You can't have water leak.
Yeah, you can't drown the ocean. That's terrible.
Oh, so anyway, so you're looking at $8 a gallon for water.
Yeah.
But oil, you got to go, first of all, you got to go find it.
Right.
Then you got to do all kinds of seismic work. Then you got to drill, and then you got to discover it. And then you got to build a well. And then you got to build feeder lines. And then you got to get it to a pump station. Then you got to get it somewhere in a pipeline. Then you got to ship it 4,000 miles.
Yeah. And you got to use it to ship it, which is even crazier.
And you're paying $1.47 a gallon. How's this working, boys? I don't get it.
It is crazy. And how much do you have? How is it? How are we burning so much and still there? How much is there? How much do you guys have left?
They got a bunch in Alaska.
They got a bunch everywhere.
I bet they got a bunch in Greenland too.
There is a book that I read, I think in the 90s, called Black Gold Stranglehold, maybe early 2000s. And I never found out if it was real or not. I never looked into it any further. I need to talk to like an expert. But this guy was essentially saying that oil is a natural property of Earth and that it's not like dinosaur fossils like we like to think about it. Fossil fuels, dinosaurs and plants break down, they make oil. He said oil is a natural component of Earth, and that the proof is in the fact that if they have these wells that go dry, they can wait just a little while and then they could go back to the well again and it'll replenish itself.
Yep.
How is that possible if this is just decaying matter over millions and millions of years? It doesn't make sense. Unless it's seeping in from other areas that they don't have access to, and it somehow or another gets to that well, like it's all like a stream underground, which begs the question, like, how much is there? What they found out that there's 3 times more water in the ground, underground, than there is in all the oceans of Earth.
It's some crazy stuff, dude.
Crazy stuff. That I didn't even make sense because they said the water's trapped. I think they're saying the water's trapped in rocks. Is that what they're saying? See if you can find that article. It's 3 times as much water under the ground as the ocean. I was like, how? 3 times?
Yeah, it says it's stored within a mineral called ringwoodite.
Ringwoodite. What does it look like? Does it have a picture? Like some fucking avatar mineral, some glowing blue mineral filled with water.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Really? Oh, shit. That's crazy. I called it. Magnesium silicate. Wow, it's beautiful. Show me an image of that shit. Key points about it. The hidden ocean is found under hundreds of miles below the Earth's surface in the transition zone between the upper and lower mantle. The water is trapped within the crystal structure of the mineral ringwoodite. Significance. This discovery could significantly alter our understanding of the Earth's water cycle and potentially provide insights into the origin of water on our planet. Whoa. Thank God there's scientists out there. Except, of course, the cocksuckers that fucking steal your bones won't give them back.
Motherfucker.
Fuck those guys. But other scientists, like these cool guys that figured this out, these cool guys, gals, and non-binary folk, that is wild stuff, man. 3 times as much ocean is in the ocean. That's so crazy. So that's the transition zone. It's all hydrated. How long before like rappers start wearing that around a necklace? That seems like a dope necklace.
Sweet.
That's that shit that they make water out of.
Dope. It's got to sell it to someone.
Yeah, you just need some Kendrick Lamar type influencer. Someone was at the top of his game to start wearing it. Like Kanye in his prime, he could have got that out there.
By the way, I want to thank you for your podcast and the one with President Trump.
Oh, you're welcome.
I thought that was great. And I made the mistake of complimenting you on that page. I said, I really enjoyed the podcast between you and President Trump. Jesus Christ. 8,000 people coming at me. I'm stopping to follow you. You're a nasty person. I hate you.
This is on your page?
On my page.
Yeah, you got to stop reading the comments.
I know. A great man once told me that. The problem is I don't take advice and I don't give advice. But I'm trying, Joe.
I don't give a whole lot of advice. I guess I do sometimes, but only with really important stuff. Like, that's an important one.
Yeah,
you can't fix those, and they will affect the way you think.
Yeah.
They affect the way people behave.
Yep.
They affect your freedom of expression to freely express yourself.
I think it had a great impact on the election.
I think it had an impact
because it showed Mr. Trump as a regular guy,
as a human.
Yeah, it humanized him.
Yeah. Well, he also was right about a lot of shit.
Yep.
The fact that he called the problem with the LA fires months before they happened was literally saying what they needed to do, what they're doing wrong, and then boom, 2 times the size of Manhattan is gone.
Yep.
It's so crazy when you see it live, or excuse me, from above, like on video, when they do the drone sweeps over it. Fucking, like a bomb went off, like a fucking nuclear bomb hit that part of the state. It's nuts.
Well, maybe they can rebuild it after they rebuild Hawaii and North Carolina and take care of some of those guys.
They're still working on shit that's blown over in Florida, right?
Yep. We saw a lot of it in Georgia when we went through.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have a certain amount of hurricane damage, but if we don't take care of that first, and instead we spend $200 million on transgender animal studies, like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Like, why aren't we allocating money to the most important things we have, which is people and their safety and their homes and to be able to rebuild? The fact that they get a $770 check and that's it, that's all those people in Maui got, that's just to let you know, like, this is a fucking rigged game. So even if you're not happy with what Elon Musk is doing and he has access that he shouldn't have and all this different stuff, you got to rip the Band-Aid off, kids. This country is trillions of dollars, $36 trillion in debt, and a lot of the stuff that's listed on U.S. Aid, all this stuff that's coming out, all these different things that they paid for, they're so frivolous and so fucking insane. It wouldn't be too crazy. It wouldn't be as crazy if we were at A, $36 trillion in debt, and B, not taking care of people in Maui, North Carolina. But the fact that those things exist, that those 3 things exist, and then people are still, they don't want to say that he's right. They're so locked into this idea. Like, if a Democrat had found all that, if Joe Biden had went in and found corruption that was in the halls of our government and tried to weed it out and said there's corruption in these NGOs, there's corruption in these not-for-profits, there's a lot of corruption and influence, and we're going to weed this out because we want a fair country, the fucking place would be cheering him. This would be like some shit JFK would do in '62. Yep. Everybody would be cheering him. Yes, this is what we need, a real president who's really going to come in and fix these things. But because Trump's doing it and the way he does things, it's just like he's a fuck. Did you see in the Air Force One, they announced that this is the first time a president is ever flying over the Gulf of America, the newly named Gulf of America.
That was classic. I mean, he doesn't miss a beat.
It's funny. It's funny. Like, I hope that the good stuff from U.S. aid can be picked back up. I hope that there's some stuff that can be reinstated, because I think there's genuine good that a lot of these nonprofit organizations and NGOs, a lot of people are genuinely good people that are doing good work, and it'd be good for us as a civilization to sponsor some of that. But you got to know, like, what's fraud, and how much of it is horse shit, and how much of it can you track? There's this guy, Ian Carroll. Did you see Ian's video about it? He was saying that somewhere in the neighborhood of like 90% of this stuff that they're paying for doesn't even make it to where it's supposed to be going. And that it could just a lot of it could just be fraud.
Yep.
Did you see that video, Jamie?
No, but he makes a lot of cool videos. I've seen the videos he's gotten things wrong, though.
I know. That's what makes it fun. That's what, that's why I like people like him. Him and Candace Owens. They're my favorite go-tos when I want to know who the fucking lizard people are.
Well, the money we send to Ukraine, and they can't find $100 billion of it.
They're only missing $100 billion, John.
It's only
not
$100 billion.
A lot of money.
No, it's not.
$100 billion for all those fine weapons. I don't even know what happened. Like, how did the money get distributed? Like, where'd it go? How are you missing so much?
I figure a lot of it never got out of America.
But this is the thing about human beings. If you just don't ever have them be accountable, they won't be. They won't be. The United States is like a meth head that we gave a checkbook to. And at the end of the month, we're like, what the fuck did you buy? You know, and he's like, don't worry, man, I got this. I'll cover it. What did you buy?
Yep. America's a big business.
It's a giant business.
And we got a president now that's a business guy.
Yes.
I don't wake up every morning to see what the fuck he's done. I know that the business is in good hands, and he'll take care of it. Because when you drive through it and you see what we got going, you realize, man, there's people trying to make it right. And most of the people in America are good people. It's not racists. They're not sexist. They're not bad people. Most of the people that you see every day are just good people.
I think that's most people in the world.
Yeah.
The people that aren't like that are the people that are in desperation. The people that are in horrible desperation or people that have been abused. You know? And I've always said, like, there's this compassionate view of immigration in this country. Like the progressive, compassionate people, their idea is we should not stop people from pursuing a better life. And that they come here because where they live is fucking terrible, and they want to be able to come here, and they want to be able to live the American dream. And we should be open to that. That's great. But you can't do that while you're also letting in terrorists, right? So, like, what's the solution? Because the solution is you bring everybody over here, they can commit crimes, you have chaos, then people demonize the rest of them who are very good people who just want a better life. Because the few that you let in, because you didn't screen at all, the few that you let in that were scumbags, they're fucking gang members and holding up apartment buildings and all this different crazy shit that we know is true. The right way to do it is take what we have in America, the freedom and the ability to prosper, and expand that throughout the world. Like, if we were good neighbors, what we would try to do is turn Mexico into another America. Not another America culturally. That's not what I'm saying. But stop being run by the fucking cartels. Yeah. Stop being run by people who are selling fentanyl. You know, like, figure out how to pay people, like, a fair wage. The reason why all those factories went down there, so they could pay people slave labor. Make that illegal. Make that illegal. Make your own shit. Like, we should all help each other get to a state of living, like, that the whole world could live at. Like, that seems, if that's not possible, something's real wrong with the system. You know, like, the top 1% in this country is, I don't know what it is, but the top 1% in the world is $34,000 a year. That's how different the rest of the world is. That's why they're walking here from Guatemala. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I get it. But my thought is, if you want to invest money, don't invest money in just, like, pay all these people to live here and stay at the Roosevelt Hotel and all that crazy shit. Invest money in making their life better where they are.
Yep.
If you could figure out how to make these places where they come from as prosperous as America, wouldn't that be better?
Yep.
Isn't that possible? I mean, it's possible here. How come you can't? That's the best concept of spreading democracy, like spread real democracy. But the problem with us is we don't really spread democracy. We just go over there and take over. You know, we go over there and install a puppet dictatorship and, you know, throw the whole fucking country into a tizzy.
And a lot of people are getting rich off of it.
A lot of people are getting rich. This is the problem. And we're reliant on cheap stuff. You know, I mean, all these fucking social justice warriors and virtue signalers, they're all doing it on phones made by slaves. That's what's crazy.
And the ones that want to shut the mining industry down, I'll use gold as an example. By the way, gold's gone up $1,000 an ounce since I saw you last.
Damn,
is right.
$1,000 an ounce?
It's $3,000 an ounce.
Didn't they find a gang of it in China recently?
Oh, they probably got all kinds of it in China.
I think China just found some crazy new discovery of an enormous amount of gold.
They're talking about backing a crypto coin with gold.
It's better than money. It's real.
My son is a...
When are you going to get a Boneyard crypto coin? 2024 November, China discovered a large gold deposit in the Wanggu gold field in the Hunan province. The discovery is estimated to be worth $83 billion, making it one of the largest gold finds in history. Holy shit. The deposit is estimated to contain over 1,000 metric tons of gold. Gold is located in 40 veins that extend up to 3,000 meters underground. The discovery was made using advanced 3D geological modeling. That's incredible. Isn't it amazing? I mean, you're a gold miner. Tell me, like, how do you know where to dig? How do you guys find that stuff?
It's real simple.
Yeah?
Gold's where you find it.
Well,
that's the bottom line, Joe.
Right.
But once you make a discovery, let's use lode gold, which is still in the rock. Placer gold, what we do is been eroded out of the rock and is in the concentrates on bedrock, and you got to wash it and sift it and sluice it. But lode gold, you got to crush to get the gold out of the rock. Ah. And so from the moment of discovery until you produce it out of that gold mine, it takes average 29 years.
Whoa.
29 years to go from finding it to having an operating gold mine, or copper mine, or lead mine, or silver mine, or zinc mine.
Wow. That's crazy. What's really interesting, too, in this country is the story of the gold miners, like the San Francisco 49ers, the people that came across the country when they found out that they had struck gold. And that must have been a really wild time, a fucking dangerous time, too. Because you have the lawless West, and then you have a bunch of people who are just desperados who are pulling gold out of the ground. And that guy might have pulled enough gold out of the ground to literally pay for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And he's right there, and no one's around.
I know a couple guys you couldn't tell they could rub two sticks together. Good friend of mine bought a bank because the bank had a big vault. He had 3 tons of gold that he was like a collector, a hoarder.
Jesus Christ.
He'd been mining for 40 years.
What is 3 tons of gold worth?
A lot.
What is that worth, Jamie? This is crazy. Let's guess. Take a guess. I'm so dumb. I don't even know what that would mean.
Well, I mean,
3 tons of gold.
You got to remember there's a difference between if I was to ask you what weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of gold, what would you tell me?
Pound is a pound.
You'd be wrong because
Really?
There's 16 ounces in a pound of feathers, and there's 12 ounces, different ounces in a pound of gold.
How come?
Just the way it is.
So when you buy a pound of gold, you're not getting 16 ounces?
You're getting 12 troy ounces.
What nationality invented that? I don't want to go full Kanye here. The value of 3 tons of gold depends on the current market value of gold, which is constantly changing. As of now, 2023, 1 ton of pure 24-karat gold was worth about $55 million. Wow. This dude had 3 tons of gold. He had $160 million. $165 million in gold just laying around.
That's what him and his wife did. That was what they did.
That is so nuts. So this was just pure gold, or did he have it made into ingots?
It's placer gold. It's the kind of we have. He was on my ground, and he would melt it and refine it if you wanted to get 24 karat. But it generally runs about 85% pure in its form on my creeks. So if you found a 1 ounce nugget, 85% of that's probably 24 karat.
What's the biggest nugget you've ever found?
33 ounces.
Whoa. What does that look like?
Looks like a whale, actually.
How big is it? Like in your hand?
I got a picture of it on my page. My daughter's holding it.
Like an old school flip phone? About that big?
It's almost this big.
Almost as big as a cell phone? Like an iPhone?
Maybe.
Almost? Like half of it?
7/8.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
It looks, if you hold it one way, it looks like a whale. You flip it over, it looks like a dolphin.
And now how much is a piece of gold like that worth right now?
Well, because it looks like something, it's called character.
Oh.
So if you have a nugget that looks like a whale or a dolphin, it generally goes for 4 or 5 times world market.
Really?
So if gold is $3,000 an ounce, that would be $12,000 to $15,000 for that character that you're buying. If you find a nugget that looks like a heart, no limit.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Suckers. Bunch of suckers out there. What about one that looks like a demon?
Oh, that's big money. If you find one that looks like a pile of dog shit, you're going to get spot market.
Yeah, you got to
Maybe
find one that
even
looks
not.
like a skull.
Oh, you find a skull one.
Oh, boy.
Oh, they'll be knocking your door.
Oh, the people, the real nutty ones.
They'll be looking for the dude.
The rich occultists would want it. Part of their collection.
But every little nugget has some kind of, or bigger nugget has some kind of character that you keep looking for. Like, what's this look like?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Did you study the history of gold mining in this country before you got involved?
Not really.
No?
No. I've been gold mining, and I knew how to do it. I wasn't worth a shit, but I'm getting better at it.
But it's a crazy way to make a living. You know, you're pulling the most precious thing, like the thing that's probably, other than diamonds, which is kind of manufactured, right? There's probably a lot more diamonds than the value suggests. Don't they like hoard them up so that like it keeps the price high?
Yeah.
They do that, right? Very smart.
Yeah, De Beers controls the
What
world.
nationality does that?
De Beers. But you bring up an interesting point. The history of gold mining.
Yeah.
People they don't even know how entrenched in our everyday lingo gold mining terms are. I'll give you an example.
Struck it rich?
Struck it rich. Oh, he hit the mother lode.
Right.
He doesn't know the difference between shit and shinola.
Oh, what's that?
Shit and shinola is gold.
Really?
You can't tell the difference between shit and shinola.
I thought it was like poop versus shoe polish.
Shinola is gold.
Isn't shinola shoe polish?
I don't know. I never had a pair of shoes that had shinola.
I think shinola is a shoe polish.
Jamie, don't turn it on.
I'm 90% sure shinola is a shoe, but I don't know which one came first. Like shinola might have come after the gold term. You know, it might be a recent corporation.
Could be.
But I think shinola is like an old school one. Like maybe I'm having a fake memory, but I kind of remember it in high school, like shoe polish.
But after today, now you know it's gold.
Now, well, in gold rush terms, yeah, but like every culture has its own little lingo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is it a shoe polish, Jamie? It is? How long has it been around?
I'm looking that up now.
They could have stole that from gold.
Going bust.
Going bust.
Yeah.
I thought that was a gambling term. I thought that was, but it could be both, right?
Probably. I mean, it's those kind of things in our language, like pay dirt.
Right.
You know.
You hit pay dirt. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You hit gold in the dirt.
The way I've heard shit and shinola is shits, bedrock schist. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
Schist and shinola.
Oh.
Schist. My gold is found in schist.
That actually makes more sense than shit and shinola. You can't tell the difference between shit and shoe polish. Don't you smell it? Right?
I ain't never seen a shoe with shoe polish.
Really? You've never seen a shoe with shoe polish?
I actually had to wear them in high school. My parents put me in a reform school.
I have to wear them when I dress up. I wear polished shoes.
I saw you dressed up here recently.
I dress up. I look like a monkey with a suit on. That's what I look like when I get dressed
You
up.
look pretty sharp, and I saw what you were wearing.
I feel like a fraud whenever I wear a suit. Like, what are you doing? What is this? What is this thing you're wearing?
Look pretty good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me. I shop at the same place Fetterman shops.
Fetterman's an animal. He goes to the fucking inauguration in a pair of shorts and a hoodie.
I
He's
like
got a
that.
Carhartt hoodie on
Yeah.
and a pair of shorts, and
That's it.
didn't give a fuck. He's a genuine guy. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, I kind of like the guy.
I like the guy a lot.
They
I
were-
saw him when I was there. I gave him a hug, talked to him. He was very friendly.
Yep.
I don't like that he said no. He's going to vote no on Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. I think that's terrible. But
Yep.
I'm biased, obviously. I like both of them very much.
And they're both in, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know how this works, man. I'm confused about this whole process. I'm confused about what's legal, what's not legal, what you can and can't do, what these executive orders can and can't do. I'm confused how they closed the problem at the border down in 3 days. They just basically completely put a stop to all the illegal coming in except for 100 people a day. It was thousands a day. It was just an overrun of people coming through every day. And they stopped it. And he said you couldn't stop it. He negotiated with Canada and with Mexico to ramp up their border, stop the fentanyl from coming in. All this stuff seems so common sense that it's just amazing to me that people don't look at that. No one is going to trust you if all you talk about is the bad side from the other side. If you don't say this is good for all of us. If you don't say that, if you don't acknowledge, are you rooting against America? Because when good things happen, do you not want them to happen because a Republican is president? Because that's a very un-American way to look at things. And I think that's where we're at these days. I think there's a giant chunk of our population that is so wrapped up in these social media squabbles and owning people online and talking shit and listening to videos and TikToks. They're so wrapped up in this us versus them shit that they can't see that we're supposed to all be in this together. And even if you don't like that guy, if Trump gets in and he does something that's awesome for the country, you should say that's awesome for the country.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good that terrorists aren't sneaking into our southern border. That's really good. It's really good that they find all the fucking criminals that are taking over apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, and root them out. Yeah, that's really good. They should deport them. Yeah, they're fucking criminals. We shouldn't have to deal with that. Yeah, maybe we should fix everything that's going on in North Carolina. Yeah, that's good for everybody. It's like these things are common sense.
That's because it's gotten so bad now that the only reason to run for politics used to be to make the money, not just get reelected. And it's the first thing they try to do when they get elected is start getting reelected.
They're making so much money.
Oh,
That's what's crazy.
look at the money.
When you look at the amount of money some of those Congress people are worth, and you're like, you tell me how. You tell me how. You make $180,000 a year and you're worth $30 million. You tell me how. You tell me how. I can't find a way that makes any sense because you should be really busy, right? So if you should be really busy doing this $180,000 a year job, who has time to have a side hustle that pays you 10 times more? Who has time? Who's doing that?
That's the only reason I can think of that people would want to get into that game.
Well, I think a lot of people like being the boss. There's a lot of that. And a lot of people just want to be that person. And when you're in a competition, right, a hierarchy-based status competition like the president of the United States, like everybody wants to be in that spot where everybody calls you sir and everybody shakes your hand and foreign leaders want to meet. You want to feel important. They all do. They can pretend they don't. They all like it. That's why they do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't want their whole life exposed like that and digging into your past and distortions of your character and outright lies, anything to destroy you all over television because they're trying to win an election. If they weren't the person that wants that spot, they wouldn't do it. That's why we don't get good leaders. We don't get people who you would like really want to do it, other than Trump. And with that guy, it's like he's kind of a psycho.
Yeah, he doesn't need the money. He's not doing it for the money.
Well, I'm sure it helps that you can make money doing it, not from the salary, but from a lot of other stuff. Like it elevates his social profile for sure and makes him more popular, which is part of the brand of Donald Trump. But like, didn't he famously not even get a paycheck?
He donates his check to some organization.
That's fucking amazing. And then this other thing about Elon. Elon's going to steal everybody's money. He has $400 billion. I'm telling you, he's not going to steal your money. I'm telling you, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's a super genius that's been fucked with. Okay? And when you've been fucked with by these nitwits that hide behind 3-letter agencies and you're dealing with one of the smartest people alive and he helps Donald Trump get into office and he goes, I want to find out what kind of corruption is really around. Well, you fucked up. You fucked up and picked the wrong psychopath on the spectrum because he's going to hunt you down. He's going to find out what's going on. And that's good. That's good for everybody. That's how you should be looking at this. Like, wow, we have a brilliant mind that is examining these really fucking corrupt and goofy systems and bringing in a bunch of psychopath wizards.
Yeah, well, AOC is the one that says he's the most unintelligent person she's ever met.
Did she really say that?
She really said that.
Wow. I want to meet her friends. They're probably cool. Imagine the conversation you'd have with her friends. If he's the most unintelligent person she's ever met, wow, her friends must be amazing. I want to go to one of those parties. It's probably just like fascinating person after fascinating person.
Well, I wonder what she's worth. And Nancy Pelosi, I think, is way up there in the multiple million.
Well, she's psychic. I don't know if you know this. She's really good at the stock market. Like, basically, she
amazing.
Meditates and she just sees it. She sees how it's going to happen. She should teach that, huh?
There's a few honest ones.
Sure. There's plenty of honest, just like there's plenty of teachers who don't get the students drunk. The problem is not the honest ones. The problem is the ones that aren't honest. And there's a ton of them, and they don't get rooted out because the system is so corrupt. Probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I've ever met, seen, or witnessed.
That's from AOC.
Well,
This guy's one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable about these systems that we know of, she said. Wow. She used to own a Tesla car. Damn, she don't own a Tesla anymore. Has a history of public disagreements with Mr. Musk, particularly over his Department of Government Efficiency. This team has been examining government spending, which has drawn sharp criticism from Democrats. Last week, DOGE gained access to federal payment systems to help with its review, a move that many Democrats viewed as controversial. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez was particularly critical of the involvement of young staffers, saying they don't do their homework clearly, and adding that 19-year-olds were being placed in key positions at the Treasury Department. I love it. Get those internet wizards on the case. Only he would do that because he understands internet culture and he understands geniuses. He understands a lot of these people have like these super brains. They're 19 and they're like one of those kids. He was from Omaha. He figured out a way to use AI to decode burnt scrolls.
My son Kinsey works for Palo Alto. He's got a master's degree in cybersecurity. He's working on another one, a master's in AI.
Oh wow!
And after talking to him and seeing what he's doing, he did his master's thesis on hacking satellites. And when I heard that, I thought, that puts a whole new light on Bitcoin for me.
Oh yeah.
I'm going, I like gold. It's in your hand. You can see it. You can hold it. You can feel it. But here, I brought you some Bitcoins to catch. I just threw you 20 of them.
Well, as soon as you have real quantum computing where they can run actual programs on it, you're not going to have encryption anymore. Or you're going to have some new kind of encryption that we never anticipated before, that like maybe you turn on and off. And it's going to have to be something that the computer doesn't have access to somehow or another, maybe possibly like independent of a system. But independent of a system, how would it even communicate with you if it's electronic, if it has Wi-Fi? Like it's going to get into it. You're not going to be able to stop something that's infinitely more intelligent than any human being from deciphering any kind of goofy ass encryption you have, some fucking stupid Apple complex password that it picked for you.
See, I just don't understand it. I mean, for 2 years, Bitcoin went after the gold miners, saying,
that's dumb.
Why would you invest in gold when you can invest in Bitcoin? So I don't have a problem with Bitcoin. I mean, the guys that are making money on it are making bank. They're doing great.
I'm telling you, we need a boneyard. We need a boneyard coin.
We do.
How about a boneyard coin? Just don't do a pump and dump. That's the key. You can have your own money.
Can we make it out
Jamie
of...
and I have been talking about it.
Can we make it out of gold?
Real ones? Yeah, you could.
1 pennyweight coins. There's 20 pennyweights in an ounce.
And there's an opening right now because Trump just banned the penny.
It's about time. Each one of those pennies is worth about 6 cents.
2 cents. It costs us 2 cents to make
it.
penny.
Yeah, but the copper itself.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, you got to mine it.
Really? So each penny is worth 6 cents?
I'm going to say 5 cents.
Wow.
Because he added 2 cents to it.
So you actually could profit from melting pennies.
People have been collecting pennies for a long time.
Right, but melting them down to sell it for raw copper is actually profitable.
What's the price of copper these days? And you can figure out how many ounces, how many pennies makes a pound.
I remember when I was doing construction, one of the sites that one of the guys had got robbed, where they stole all the copper pipes. And I was like, what? Like, how much is copper worth?
It's worth a lot.
I would have never imagined that. U.S. pennies were made of 2.5% copper and 97.5% zinc.
That's the modern penny.
Penny contains a small amount of copper that's plated on top of a zinc base. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but that's today's penny, not
from 1982. They were made in 95% copper.
Yep.
Okay, so in the 80s, they were real pennies. So if you get one of them old pennies, that's a valuable penny. You weigh a penny to determine its copper or zinc. A copper penny weighs 3.11 grams, while a zinc penny weighs 2.5. Interesting. Yeah, coins are weird. Like, enough of that. I know it's stupid because you are like a part of the system and you can't control it, but I love paying for things with my phone. I love going doot doot, looking in my face and pressing on the register and thank you.
I see guys do it all the time. I don't know how to do it.
I love it. It's like I feel like I'm living in the future. It's my favorite. It's so irrational. It's my favorite thing to do is to pay for shit with my phone. I would pay for everything with my phone if I could.
I used to in Jacksonville.
Just use your face, touch it, and it pays for anything. I'm so stupid. I love the little check that comes up. Oh, yay, you paid for it.
You go through a drive-through to get food, and you see the guy in front of you aiming his phone at somebody inside.
Right.
You don't see any cash flying around.
Right.
It's weird.
It is weird.
It's weird because, like, who's controlling it? And if you have the same sort of oversight that you had with all the stuff that DOGE is showing, where it's all this corruption and waste, and $100 billion is missing from Ukraine, and like, what'd you do? How much money did you spend on these fucking charging stations, and how many have you made? All that kind of stuff. If you look at if that's all applied to money too, and it's digital money, like, how do I know where you have it if you even have it, right? Because this is part of the problem with money in banks, that they don't really have all the money that you put in there. Like, if you put in $10 million to a bank, guess what? They don't have $10 million to give you. Like, if you say, I want my $10 million back, that's a process.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get it. They're going to really try to discourage you. You can't get it that day. There's going to be a lot of things have to happen. If you show up at a bank and you're fucking Jeff Bezos or something where they're not worried about where it came from, and you want to deposit $10 million, and you have a fucking bag, and you're wheeling in on like a luggage cart, and it's $10 million, and they count it, and they put it in there. Yeah, but it's not there anymore. They're going to loan that out. They're going to do stuff with it. They don't have it right there.
Yeah, no, it's all.
So it's all weird. Like, the whole economy is weird. Everything's weird. Because since we went off the gold standard, it's like, what is it based on? And how do you guys just print more of it every time you need something? Every time you want to do something, you just print more?
I'm old enough to know and remember, if you were in a bank and a guy walks in wearing a fucking mask, usually you had to hit the floor.
Right.
But there's a bank I go to in Jacksonville where you walk in a bank and the tellers are wearing masks. I'm going, this ain't right. And I go, what are you wearing a mask for?
Well, they're mentally ill.
What are you wearing a mask for?
Well, I think a lot of people weren't really doing well before COVID. You know, there's a lot of people that are fragile. They're barely hanging on already. You know, a lot of people are like really anxious about diseases. I have friends that are like that. I know a few guys in the comedy community that really cracked during that time because they were already filled with anxiety, and some of them were already hypochondriacs, and they cracked. And they're not the same people anymore. Like, people don't want to hang out with them anymore. They're weird. Like, they're just broken, and they wear masks everywhere.
This one bank I went to, teller's wearing a mask. The next teller over is not wearing a mask.
She's probably Republican. That's what it is. It's a MAGA hat. It's a Democrat's MAGA hat.
And you see them driving around with the mask on in
That's
a car.
my favorite. Well,
Yeah.
they might as well have fox ears on. They're mentally ill.
And we're out on the field and we're out mining, and we've got a lot of dust flying around. We have masks on.
Yeah, but that's big. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it is a big
fucking
difference.
invisible viruses as you're driving your car. By the way, I think fox ears are more noble because if you put like little fox ears on, you're like one of those furries. At least you're just having a good time.
Yeah.
You know, like you're just having a good time. You like wearing fox ears. Who gives a shit? The mask is just stupid. It's just, what do you like, smelling your own breath? What do you like, not being able to breathe is good? What do you like? What do you like, pretending that viruses can't get through those fucking gaping holes that are all around the outside of your face and through the fabric, which is the reason why you can breathe in the first place, you fucking idiot.
Well, we made a bunch of masks with my logo on it. So, you're wearing one of these logos on your face like that.
That's funny.
Go fuck yourself.
We had JRE masks that we were selling during the pandemic, and Sanjay Gupta brought one in like it was a gotcha. Like, you sell masks? Like, yeah, because people have to wear them, not because they make sense.
Yeah.
They don't make any sense. You know they don't make sense. Shut the fuck up. That was one of the weirdest beginnings of COVID, when I started really wondering how anybody could believe that this stupid surgical mask, which is supposed to stop like driplets of spit and food from your mouth dropping into a wound as you're operating, they're not supposed to protect you from viruses. That's not what they're there for. The fact that people started wearing those and then some people were just wearing bandanas. And my favorite, which is maybe the dumbest of all time, people would wear that shield.
Oh, fuck.
So it's open air. Open air. All this is open. And then there's a shield. And they would be walking down the street with a fucking shield over their face. Like, this is mental illness. That's all this is. This is just people responding to stress that they can't handle, and they're freaking out. That's all this is. This isn't normal. And the more we allow this, the more we rationalize this, and the more we enable this by not telling them they're fucking ridiculous. Take your goddamn mask off when you come into the store. No, you can't come into the store like you're going to rob it. It's 2025. Take that fucking stupid thing off. And the more you allow people to just continue with this delusion, They get in these social groups on Twitter and they talk about the power of the mask. And I feel so much better when I'm wearing a mask, and I'm being safer for others. And they all agree with each other. I'm like, you should be in an asylum. You should all go to Alaska and see what bears look like in the flesh. You should go salmon fishing. Get the fuck outside your house. You're sick.
Yep. Well, I don't want to put a mask on because I'm pretty good looking and shit.
I hear you, bro.
Yeah, you know the problem.
I hear you. Yeah.
Jamie's pretty good looking too.
Also, you're a giant. Like, you with a mask on is scary because it's like, what is he up to?
Yeah.
Why is he covering his face? What's his plans?
Well, the doctor told me, we had lunch with him about a week ago, and he says, the one that told me to quit smoking, he goes, when I first saw you, I was wondering, what the hell am I going to do here? Because I'm sitting in there, and he has no idea what my ailment is.
Right.
And so I am a big guy. And the one benefit that came from this is I don't smoke. And I still do the CrossFit, even though you look at me and you can't tell. But I've been doing it for a while.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
that's more important really than anything. I would say if I had to choose between one thing that you should do to make yourself healthy, I would say exercise. Maybe even over food.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe it's close. It's real close. Food's probably maybe, but no, you got to exercise too. They're almost like cancel each other out. Or equal rather.
My trainer Megan was telling me that there's a difference between sick care and health care. And I said, what is it? She goes, well, sick care is when you're sick, you go to the doctor. Health care is your exercise, all the things you do to keep yourself healthy. You don't want to be sick.
Right.
And we're not paying attention to the health care part.
You're right. So we got to get you fit.
I'm
Got to get you fit. Got to get you dieting.
I do.
We just got to get you to eat only meat. Try that.
Is that what they call the keto?
Carnivore. Carnivore diet.
I could do that one.
That's the move. I'm telling you. Cut
are
out
you
all
doing
the bread.
that one?
Yeah, I do that. Whenever I do that, I feel way better. I do it like in sprints because I'm Italian. And Italians love pizza and pasta. I love that shit. If I go to New York, I'm breaking my diet. I'm gonna get sandwiches from my man Giovanni's Deli. I'm gonna eat Italian food. I'm gonna go off. I need it. Every now and then I just want to have it just for the
Are you glad to have eggs on that one?
Yeah, you could have eggs. I eat eggs all the time. The whole idea is you're only eating animal products. I don't eat anything else other than some fruit. I'll eat like an orange or a banana here and there. I'll have some blueberries with some yogurt. But the idea is what you're really doing is mostly eating meat. And so most of my diet is red meat. And when I eat like that, I feel so much better. I feel clear-headed. I have more energy. It's more stable throughout the day. I feel like my brain functions better. When I eat carbs, I just start getting sloppy. I just start getting slow. It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with carbohydrates. Don't get me wrong. But I do think that they're really easy to overconsume. And if you're a glutton, which I definitely am, I'm a glutton. I will eat 2 pizzas. If you give me some really good like New York pizzas, I will eat 2 of those bitches. I will eat until I'm sick. I've always been like that. I always eat too much food. I have an appetite that just won't stop with pasta, but not with steak. Steak cuts you off. There's a thing about eating protein, steak, things like chicken. You don't eat too much of it. You eat enough and then you stop. They have what's called a high satiety level. Like high protein foods have a very high satiety level. And so like I'll eat like a 16-ounce elk steak. I don't want to have nothing else. I'm good. But if there's spaghetti there, and if there's some fucking macaroni and cheese, if there's potato salad, if there's a little, then I'll keep going. I'll keep eating. And then I'll have way more calories really than I need with the same amount of nutrients. The thing is like for performance, for like athletes, I don't think the carnivore diet's the right way to go. I think you should supplement with, I don't think there's anything wrong with rice. I don't think there's anything wrong with vegetables. I don't think there's anything wrong with fruit. I think the real problem with a lot of people is pastas and breads and just processed food and garbage. I think we're just eating poison most of the day. I think if you can just eat regular whole food, I think you're better off. But I think I think you have to clean your rice. Because I keep hearing shit about rice having glyphosate on it. Is that true? I was reading this thing about rice being I know it's the case with corn and wheat. They think that's why some people have what they perceive to be a gluten sensitivity, but they really probably are getting sick from glyphosate, which is so crazy to think. But it sounds nuts, but then they've tested people, and they found in the group that they tested, like 90% of them had traceable levels of glyphosate in their blood. Glyphosate drift to rice, a problem for us all. Yeah, here it is. This is from 2011. Fuck. Damage inflicted by derelict glyphosate during this period is often invisible and not noticed until harvest. Damage is characterized by significantly decreased yields, and milling the rice often exhibits the first signal that has been hit with a drift, kernel shaped like a parrot's beak. This is so dark. And then you eat it. Yay. Yay. It's like, the reality is farming, and I'm no farmer, right? Be clear. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've talked to a bunch of farmers. I've talked to, these guys like Joel Salatin, who runs at Polyface Farms, or Will Harris, who runs White Oak Pastures. These guys who run these regenerative farms, what they're saying makes sense. They're saying the other way is suicide. The other way is bad for the land, it's bad for the people, it's bad for the environment, you're using tons of chemicals. The way to do it is the way nature has been doing it for millions of fucking years. You have a bunch of cows, they shit in the grass. You have a bunch of pigs, they root things up. You have a bunch of chickens, they eat all the bugs. Everybody lives together. Everybody nutrient-rich soil. They're all like a part of this complete system, this complete ecological system, and it's carbon neutral. They say that when they raise cows like that, they actually sequester carbon. The question is, can you feed everybody in LA and New York like that? I don't think so. So it's like, what did we do? We got so far ahead of ourselves that it seems like we have this requirement for food that almost demands this kind of crazy farming. That's where it's fucked, because if they don't farm like that, like if everybody has to go to like a Joel Salatin, Will Harris model, is there enough land to grow enough meat like that? Is there enough land to let all the pigs loose? Is there enough land to have all the chickens just roaming around? Is there enough land for that? I don't know.
There's some big farms on the way over that we saw coming across.
There's a lot of people eating. There's not a single farm in LA, and there's 20 million hungry people just scarfing up food all day long. And you need all these farms out there just constantly making life forms for people to consume. It's really a crazy thing that we've done, because we've like completely overpopulated areas where they don't grow any food. It's like the dumbest strategy of all time. We rely 100% on transportation.
That's right. And, people say, oh, there's a revolution coming. It's here. I mean, the revolution is here. What we're seeing right now is history being made, because the people that have been taken advantage of forever, in my opinion, are the people that are out there producing, the farmers, the miners.
Oh, for sure.
And the guys that I think really control, have their hand on the throttle of this country, if they ever decide to take their hand off the throttle, is the truckers. Without the truckers, nobody eats.
You're right.
Nobody. You get nothing.
Yeah. Those are the people that are going to suffer the most with AI. AI and automation. Once they have those Tesla trucks that can just drive themselves, they never get into car accidents. Those fucking things are everywhere. You never have to worry about them staying up all night and whether or not they're going to make a mistake behind the wheel. Once they get that totally dialed in, we're going to have a real problem. That's going to be a real problem, because you're going to have so many people out of work and so many people that are going to say, hey, figure it out. Well, they've been delivering your stuff. You've been depending upon them. Every Amazon package you order, every time you get anything delivered to your house, anytime you're moving, anytime you're relying on truck drivers. And that job's just going to go away.
Yep.
And that's a lot of people. I think, didn't we look up the number of people that drive trucks or that are drivers, whether it's taxi drive? I think they put them all together, like people who drive for a living. I think it's more than 1 million. I think it's more than 1 million just truck drivers. That's crazy. Like that one invention will put 1 million people out of work.
I don't know. It's going to have to be an awful big truck to handle all
seen
the
those
copper.
things? Have you seen those Tesla trucks?
Not the big ones.
They're just the beginning.
Yeah.
The ones that they have now are just the beginning. The United States has over 3.5 million professional truck drivers, but the trucking industry is facing a shortage of drivers. Wow. So they need more.
Yep.
They have over 3.5 million, and they need more. Google Tesla Semi. This thing's crazy looking. This looks like something straight out of a science fiction movie. It's a giant electric. Go to images. It looks like something out of a fucking science fiction movie. It's a giant electric truck. It makes no noise other than the tire. Like you hear the tires rolling around the ground. You don't hear any. Look at the seat of this fucking thing. 2 screens. And it drives itself. And they're going to be really good at driving themselves. Like right now, they're really good, but they're going to be really, really, really good. They're going to be better than people, so they're not going to make any mistakes. And they're going to be safe. And as long as all their sensors are working and as long as all their equipment is reliable, they'll be better at detecting accidents and stopping accidents and avoiding things than people are.
Elon said today they're going to start the driverless Teslas in Austin in June.
Like for taxi cabs?
Yeah.
Bro, how long before they get attacked by the Free Palestine people? That's the other thing we found out through all this DOGE stuff. How much of this stuff that you see that you think is organic, these riots and protests, how much of that is funded? How much are we paying for the decisions that are costing us that? Like how much? We're spending money to like $27 million went to the George Soros DA fund. That's so crazy. That's more than he puts in. We were paying to get shitty DAs elected. It's nuts. And anybody who doesn't think it's nuts, it's like, listen, you're not paying attention. You're captured. You must be captured by, and this is not saying that USA doesn't do good things. I'm sure they do. But the amount of things that they do that are ridiculous this should concern you. And if it doesn't concern you, we're talking nonsense. We're not having a real conversation.
That's what I don't get about the blues and the reds.
Yeah.
There's got to be some people on the blue side to go, it's a good idea that we're doing this.
Yeah.
What he's doing is a good idea because we're squandering a lot of money.
There's a lot of people like that, but they're quiet because the blues will come for you.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but after the election, at least in my opinion for myself, I had the right to make an opinion again. I could have an opinion.
Yes.
I can have an opinion.
Finally,
I can have an opinion after 4 fucking years.
Isn't that weird? It did really feel like that. Like the consciousness of the country was like a rat. Like we're going to rat on you. And you couldn't just have fun and talk about things. You couldn't have an opinion that wasn't like right out of mainstream news. You had to 100% toe the line or you were attacked.
I put in one post, I have an opinion. I'm going to use it again. I think we should sink every commercial whaling ship in the ocean. Send them to Davy Jones' locker.
You get a lot of support behind that. You get a lot of support from the environmental people, too.
There's a pushback on that 27 million George Soros stuff.
Oh, really? What's the pushback?
That it's not true.
What do they say?
There's a long tweet if you want me to bring it up.
Sure, bring it up.
I thought it was 58 million.
That's it's one on the side of the page here, though.
Okay, the claim that Mike Benz establishes in his research is that USAID paid out $27 million in grants to the Tide Foundation. The Tides Foundation is a major funder of the Soros-backed group. Fair and just prosecution. Benz frames this as though it's evidence of USAID funding fair and just prosecution. That seems like it is. This framing only works. You have no idea what the Tides Foundation is or how large foundations like it operate. Tides is an intermediary funder, meaning that it facilitates grants from originating grantors, the money people, to receive grantees, the people getting the money. If you're a big organization like USAID, you don't give money to Tides to do with it what they will. You forward money through Tides to a specific recipient of your choosing. Why do you send your money through middlemen instead of giving it directly? For the same reason people always use middlemen to facilitate contracts, because middlemen know how to deal with paperwork,
to supervise contracts, and so on. Did USA give money to FJP? You can figure that out quickly for yourself. Go to usaspending.gov, set keyword tides, and awarding agency to USAID. Click submit. Go to tab grants tab. You will see 4 grants. Open each one. The lion's share of USAID's money came to a single grant of $24.6 million. If you click through, you see it is described as a civil society innovation initiative fiscal agent. Read that. That sounds Orwellian. Civil society innovation initiative fiscal agent. The fiscal agent description means that the Tide Center acted as a middleman for the government's money. The Civil Society Innovation Initiative was the end recipient. Already, the FJP USAID link has been broken. But what else can we say about this grant? Well, that doesn't seem like it's been broken. That seems like you've given this money to an agency or to this group. You haven't disproven that this group is attached to Soros. It says, first off, CS2 was awarded the grant in 2016, FJP. The Soros org was founded a year later in 2017. Still doesn't mean they don't work together now. And it doesn't mean that he wasn't a part of the people that were doing. I mean, I'm not saying he is, and I'm not saying he was, but I'm saying this is not disproving anything. As far as I can tell by Googling, there has never been any organizational affiliation between the two organizations. Okay, by Googling? That's it? You just Googled? I want you to Google vaccine injuries and tell me if there's any. Good luck. Good luck. COVID-19 vaccine injuries. Tell me you can decide everything that you need to know about COVID-19 vaccine injuries by a Google search. You're not going to, right? Okay, so by Googling, there's never been any organizational affiliation between the two organizations. CS2's work appears to be funding civil society organizations, CSOs abroad. What does that mean? As far as I can tell, that's a little vague. It mainly means they give money out to nonprofits in foreign countries to do things like monitor and fight disease spread, monitor human rights abuses. This sounds a little like whitewashing, promoting digital security, and so on. They do only good things, John. They definitely don't get involved in shady characters that are trying to rewrite the way our legal system deals with violent criminals. Nah.
I've never understood Soros.
I don't get it either. Elon Musk hates him. I have a limited amount of knowledge, but I do know that he spends a lot of money on these like super progressive liberal DAs. I don't know whether or not Mike Benz, who's going to be here soon, can really trace that 27 million. I'll ask him. But at the end of the line, it's like, this is all vague. Like, what is that? What's that 24 million going to? Like, it might be going to fight diseases. It might be or you don't know. How about you don't know? And all you did was Google whether or not those people know each other? That's crazy. Doesn't mean they do. It doesn't mean it's corrupt. It doesn't mean it goes to Soros funds, but you didn't disprove it.
Well, that's anymore. You can't hardly tell what's true. I mean, the rumors that are floating around are, is it AI? Is it true? Is it, what am I looking at?
Yeah, a lot of AI stuff.
And the rumors we were talking about rumors on the drive, and I'm going, sometimes you just can't do anything about them. You just got to let them run. And then if you can improve them, if you're involved in it, improve it somehow to make it a better rumor. One of the most recent rumors, and I was talking to Drew this morning, the rumor that Elon Musk was going to put 4 commercials on the Super Bowl about DOGE and all the fine things they're doing.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
I wonder if that's even legal.
That was fake news.
Right, but that seems like if you can make a stylish video about, I wonder if that's legal, right? Like, I don't know what the rules are. I don't even know if it should be legal. Like, what are the rules in terms of if you're involved in some sort of a government agency or a government discovery agency, which is like what DOGE is, right? If you're involved in that, like, would you be able to propagandize to the people, even in a positive way, even if it's true? Like, make a video showing how amazing a job you're doing and do it in a cinematic way that makes it compelling? That seems like a lot of influence, right?
Yeah, supposedly he was going to spend $40 million on it or something like that.
Yeah, but that's just the internet.
I know, it's crazy.
I didn't even ask him, and then I went online looking for them.
Yeah, well, I was thinking every At least there's going to be one a quarter. Didn't see one in the first quarter, and the second quarter, the half. And by then, the game was kind of over.
Well, that's like when everybody thought that JFK Jr. was going to come back to life and show up in Dallas. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of those online that you have to wonder what those are. Because I used to think, oh, there's just some idiot made this up. But now I'm more inclined to think that some of that is just more disinformation that's designed to muddy the waters of truth. And the more of that, the better. The more it makes it easy to like move stuff around, and you forget about other things like, what's Benghazi? I got this to worry about. And there's like always some new thing that's popping up everywhere. And it's like keep you distracted completely. Trump's going to have 4 commercials about how Elon Musk – no, nothing. Not one commercial.
Yep.
I did think it was interesting that Taylor Swift got booed.
We talked about that.
That was crazy.
Max and Drew out there was saying it's because 75% of the people were Phillies fans in that stadium. I don't know. Could be fake news.
The dude tweeted, I hate Taylor Swift.
Jesus Christ.
So ridiculous. Imagine like you being the people that are around him and you see that tweet and you're like, oh, fuck. Take his phone away. Satire. The claim about Elon spending $40 million on ads for the Super Bowl originated from the TikTok account Brian Banjo. Brian Banjo is a satire account. Oh, okay. So people just ran with it. There you go.
It had the wrong date on it, apparently.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I saw a clip this morning with George Lucas was saying that he filmed the moon landing.
Oh. You mean Stanley Kubrick?
Or, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick.
That is an actor that's doing that. And that's why it's like a really close cropped footage of him. You don't like zoom in. He doesn't quite look like Kubrick, but he looks like a weird old guy with a beard. And so if you don't know what Kubrick looks like, it's not Kubrick. But if anybody faked the moon landing, it was that guy.
What about Buzz Aldrin? I think he came out and said, no, I would know. We didn't land there.
Well, he said some weird stuff, but the weird stuff you could attribute to like Biden type weird stuff. Like when you get old, sometimes the old dome don't work so good, and your words come out goofy. Like he was talking to that young girl because it didn't happen. We never went. Like he said something weird like that. But I think as a conspiracy theorist, I want to believe that that's him letting everybody know. That's not nearly as interesting as the Neil Armstrong one. The Neil Armstrong one is crazy. And this is at the 25th anniversary of the moon landing. He gives a speech in front of America's best and brightest high school students. And instead of saying, I went to the moon, it was amazing, he gives the most cryptic explanation for what they have to do in order to progress in science. Play it for me, Jamie. Because when you see it, when you listen to it, you're like, what the fuck is he saying? And why would you ever say that when you're giving a speech to the best high school students in the country at the White House? Why would you say this? Like, play it.
Anniversary of the event in 1994, Neil Armstrong made a rare public appearance and held back tears as he spoke these brief cryptic remarks before the next generation of taxpayers as they toured the White House.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
What the fuck does that mean? Breakthroughs for those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. Truth's protective layers? What the fuck does that mean? Like, why would you say that? That is so cryptic. I don't care what reasonable explanations you have. That is undeniably cryptic. And if you're a person that did something in 1969 that no one's come even close to recreating today, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. And that's just part of what's a little weird about it. It's a little weird that it's got almost a religious connotation to it, where people want to believe in it like they believe in the resurrection. They want to believe in it despite any evidence. I believe in the resurrection more. How about that?
Take that rumor and twist it around however you want. Make it something you can deal with.
The moon landing one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know, but if I had to guess, I don't think so. And then what's really weird is we had that Bart Sibrel guy on. That was his documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. He was showing us some footage where the Russians had used AI to do an analysis on some of the photos from the moon, and they said that they were deceptive. So they use AI on all these other images. It can show like a high 90% accuracy, whether or not something's been fucked with. And they're like, these have been monkeyed with. This is all edited.
You don't know what to believe. I mean, I just saw a clip yesterday with my voice again, talking
what
about
were you selling? I sent you something. I sent you one of them.
Oh yeah, no, it has you and me in a talking like this, and we're talking about some space enterprise with starships and shit. And I'm going, how do they do this?
They can do a whole podcast with your voice now. Not only could they do a whole podcast with your voice, AI could generate the content. Like you'd say, I want to talk to John Reeves about biological evolution and what the current state of science is and what the future holds for us.
And that'll be used in the clip that we're going to see within a week.
Probably.
Your voice.
Probably, because they could make a 1-hour podcast with you just relaying the current state of the art in science. It's really wild. And it's probably going to get worse. Like it's going to be so good that I'm going to think it's you, or I'm going to think it's me. I'm like, maybe I forgot about that one.
You know, as I get older, you know, I forget shit. You know, I think it's true.
I think that's a defense mechanism.
I don't want to remember.
Built us in too much.
I don't want to remember that one. I'll forget about that one. But you know, we both made it around one more time around the sun.
Yeah.
And it's been an unbelievable year, you know, what we've both seen in the last year.
It's definitely been it's a wild time to be alive, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But
filled with turmoil.
I think it's also because it's so quick. The information that you can get is coming at you from every direction.
Yeah.
Instantly.
But
in 1920, that wasn't happening.
No.
It wasn't happening in 1880.
No.
It was like, you didn't know, like when Seward bought Alaska, you didn't know why he did that. Everybody said Seward's folly. How about Seward's genius?
They thought it was a bad deal.
Yeah. $7 million for Alaska.
That's so funny.
2 cents an acre. Now, let me tell you something. A guy named Klaus Naske, who was a doctor of history at the University of Alaska, I used to teach his kid how to swim. Him and I were at a social function someplace, and we were talking. And we were talking about the purchase of Alaska. And he goes, you know why we did that, right? And I said, well, yeah, Seward wanted to buy it and $7 million. He goes, yeah, we gave $7 million to Russia. I said, okay, they sold it to us. He goes, why do you think they did that? I said, I don't know. They said it was because the seals were gone. You know, they had gotten all the seals trade done. He goes, that's not why. During the Civil War, Russia blockaded Charleston Harbor with their warships, and it helped the North win the Civil War. And the bill for that was $7 million. And they knew they couldn't just go out to America and say, yeah, the Russians helped us win the Civil War.
Really?
This is what he told me. He's a doctor of history. And I said the same thing. He goes, yeah. He goes, nobody talks about it. Nobody even mentions it. But Russia took the $7 million and they gave us Alaska. That'll justify this $7 million.
Wow. What do you think about the idea that the United States taking over Canada?
Well, it makes Alaska the third largest fucking state. First, we got to get Greenland. Let's get Greenland so we got them surrounded, kind of.
I thought he was just joking around about Canada, but he seems serious.
Well, I think Drew was talking about this the other day. Canada's got 7, I'm not sure how many provinces, but they're different. And so what they might want to do is make 7 new states, because the people in Alberta do different stuff than the people in...
You can't just have the state of Canada.
No. Because it'd be like L.A. and New York calling the elections.
No, it'd be way worse because Montreal and Quebec is French. I mean, it's basically French-speaking. Everyone speaks French. It's so different than the rest of the country. I mean, there's a lot of French-speaking people in Canada in general, but there's way more on the East Coast. The Vancouver and Montreal are very different places. Like they have to be different cities, man. You can't different states. You can't have them be just one part of a big country. If there's 7 different provinces, so we have 7 new states now. Fine. Why not?
I agree.
We can't count past 51? What is that?
Well,
it's ridiculous.
People forget what it's like to expand America. The last time we did it was Alaska.
People just get scared of it. They get scared of the idea of the empire, the American empire expanding. It makes you think about Hitler. It makes you think about fascism and dangerous, military decisions that get made, take over countries and wars that happen. That's what people get scared of. But if Canada just wants to join, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they got a lot of natural resources.
Yeah. Also, their government's goofy as shit. You guys don't even have freedom of speech. Well, you should be protected by the Constitution.
Yeah, then they get the Second Amendment.
Yeah, and they used to have gun laws over there that were pretty favorable, but then when Trudeau came around, like you can't even give someone a handgun, I don't think, anymore.
It's gotten, well, I know a few Canadians. They don't like Trudeau. They don't like what he's done to the country.
Well, there's got to be somebody that likes him. He keeps winning.
He's got the
numbers. So kind. They're so nice that they're like willing to give a dork like that a second and a third chance.
Well, the farmers don't like him, I don't think. The miners don't like him.
Well, certainly the truck drivers that were involved in that trucker convoy, that was crazy. And not just the trucker convoy, but the people that donated to the trucker convoy got their bank accounts shut down, which is just crazy. That's just crazy. Like you got to have laws against that. That's tyranny. You can't allow people to shut down someone's entire bank account and they can't feed themselves because they donated to a person who's politically opposed to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Alaska, I think, coming from the guy that told me that, he's dead now, but I believe it. But back then, there was no fact checkers. There was no way to tell people what was going on. So let's just tell them we bought it.
That's interesting. Russia helped the United States win the Civil War. See, have you ever found anything on that, Jamie? No. I've never heard that before. I wouldn't be surprised, though. Well, sure, back then they could hide all kinds of shit, too.
The North didn't have the Navy.
How much do you think Greenland's worth?
Well, I was talking to my accountant this morning. I think Greenland, if it became a state, it would be the largest state in the country.
Oh, yeah. It's a big spot.
And then Alaska would be second. But Texas is always going to be screwed. No matter how many more states we get, Texas is always going to go down the list.
Yep.
Let's
still
say
huge.
Greenland, then Canada, Alaska, America. I kind of like Mexico, too. Might as well take all of it.
I don't think the Mexicans are big down with that. The Mexicans would probably be very upset if we try to take over Mexico. But it would be nice if Mexico had the same opportunities as America and that it wasn't so attractive to try to swim across the river to get here.
Well, what I don't get, Joe, we got a pretty good Navy. We got a pretty good Air Force. We got a pretty good military base. What the fuck are we doing not sending A-10s down there into Mexico and taking those fentanyl labs out? What are you going to do, Mexico? You don't like us doing that? We just said they're terrorists. We're going to blow up their fucking buildings. Well, tell them we're coming. But we're going to blow the fuck out of that stuff. They're going to have no infrastructure left. What are you going to do? No more avocados? Give me a fucking break. Send some A-10s. I've had A-10s on my ground, buzzing my ground for years. They practice on my ground. Well, they're awesome. Those pilots are good.
Yeah.
Couple little warthogs in there and it'll take care of business.
What do you think that looks like, a war with the cartels?
I've stumbled across this, but that doesn't exactly say the same thing.
It says, while all this is transpiring, one of the most unusual events in diplomatic and naval history occurred. Russia dispatched her Atlantic and Pacific naval squadrons to the United States ports. They arrived in New York and San Francisco, respectively, in September 1863, at a time when the tide of war had turned in the favor of the North at Gettysburg and Vicksburg. The fleets remained in the United States waters for about 7 months before being ordered to return to their homeland. Oh.
They must have had wooden ships then, because I just found their first ironclad ship was built in Britain in 1861.
Whoa.
It said it stayed in Russian waters the entire time.
Whoa.
'Cause they had their own civil war just after.
Bro, they were going to war with wood ships. Gangster.
They knocked the shit out of the seal population.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. They were really good at what they
What
did.
did they used to be like? Seals everywhere up there?
Yeah, yeah.
And are they endangered now? Like, what's the...
I don't really know because we don't have any in our area, but I have a friend that's a mechanic who's telling me he had a lady come into his auto shop and said something was wrong with her engine. And so he went out and told her, he said, "It looks like you blew a seal." And she said, "No, I had tuna fish for lunch." Yeah, you don't tell a comic a joke, do you? Yes. I've been saving that one.
I know that native Alaskans are allowed to hunt seals, and they eat them.
Yeah,
But regular people can't.
I think they share.
There's weird rules on that, though. Yeah, you might be able to share, but you
There's
can't hunt.
subsistence harvesting.
Yeah, you ever watch that show, Life Below Zero?
I have seen that.
Yeah, part of that show was like this one guy was living with this native Alaskan wife and their kids, and they would go hunt the seals, and she would like shoot the seals, and she had to pull the trigger. Then he could help like butcher them up.
So there's about 141,000 in non-glacial areas now. The Wikipedia says that there were 300,000 before once population in the 1850s.
Oh, no, that's sea otters.
Oh, so yeah, I guess I read that wrong.
It says once a population of 300,000 sea otters was almost extinct. Russia needed money after being defeated by France and Britain in the Crimean War. The California gold rush showed that if gold were discovered in Alaska, Americans, Canadians could overwhelm the Russian presence in what one scholar later described as Siberia's Siberia. However, the principal reason for the sale was that the hard-to-defend colony would be easily conquered by British forces based in neighboring Canada in any future conflict, and Russia did not wish to see its arch-rival being next door just across the Bering Sea. Therefore, Emperor Alexander II decided to sell the territory. The Russian government discussed the proposal in 1857 and 1858 and offered to sell the territory to the United States. So it was before all that in the Civil War, hoping that its presence in the region would offset the plans of Britain. However, no deal was reached, as the risk of an American Civil War was more pressing concern in Washington.
Plausible space for our new news today in this story.
Our new news?
What he said about the Russian ships, that kind of fits. It could happen.
Yes, because it says 1857 to 1858, they agreed to sell it, and offered to sell, so they agreed, but then they had to put it on the back burner because of the war. So then after the war, they bought it. So it might have been that they said, look, we'll still buy it, but help us out.
This is how we got to cover our
Yeah,
ass.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, this guy's like Dr. Emeritus in history. I mean, he knows his shit. Or he did.
The problem is then you have to trust those guys. I'd rather trust Wikipedia.
Yeah. Anything I read on Wikipedia's got to be true.
Way less sea otters now, 70,000.
Oh, there's only 70,000 left?
Yeah.
That's sea otters, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sea otters are vicious little fuckers.
That Slingsby up there in Nome, he sees a lot of that kind of stuff.
Otters?
All the sea life up there.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
You follow him.
Yeah, there's a giant difference between like the coastal Alaska and regular Alaska.
Yeah.
Coastal Alaska is wild.
He went out and just slayed the king crab last year.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that is not worth dying for. That show, the most deadly harvest or deadliest harvest, whatever it's show. I watched that show. I go, guys, get out of there.
I haven't seen that show.
You never seen that show? You know the show, Jamie, right? What isn't it called? Deadliest Harvest, the crab fishing show. Oh yeah. Isn't that what it's called?
Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest Catch. That's right.
Yeah.
Deadliest Catch. That's right.
Yeah, they're way out in the middle of the freaking ocean there.
Yeah, and they're fucking rocking back and forth. Guys fall overboard sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Fall for crab. And I get it. I want crab too, but not that bad. Guys.
You get it from Slingsby,
Yeah.
big crabs. You know, he goes out, drills through the ice, and brings them up.
Through the ice.
Oh, yeah, he gets them in the wintertime.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's ocean ice.
It's right offshore, right there in Nome.
So you can walk on the ocean ice
Oh, yeah.
out there?
Yeah, yeah.
How thick is the ocean ice?
Thicker than fuck.
I didn't even know we had that. I mean, I got obviously because of glaciers, but I didn't even think that there was like places where you could walk over frozen ocean and drill through it.
They have a gold mining show that they film off the coast of Nome where they cut through the ice and they send divers down with suction dredges.
Whoa.
It's on Discovery Channel.
To look for gold?
Yeah.
Cut through the ice.
They cut.
Dive through a fucking hole in the ocean ice.
Forget the name of that show.
What is that cold plunge like? How long can they stay down there?
Some of them stay down there all day, 8 hours. They'll do a whole shift.
How can you do that?
They have suits on that and they have warm water pumped into your wetsuit or your dry suit.
How deep are they down there?
Here you go.
Is this the show?
Yeah. Bering Sea Gold, yeah.
Whoa.
I've met her before. She's a nice lady. She's an opera singer.
This is crazy. This the way that people live so differently in the world. That there's people that this is their reality. They get a little ice fishing hut. They set them up.
Oh, what they're doing is just unbelievable.
So what's he doing now? He's cutting holes in the
He's getting
ice.
ready to go down. Yeah, that's Sean Pomrecki.
And this guy's got this suit. And so how deep is he going?
They go down about 30 feet.
Fuck that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look
There you
at
go.
this. Fuck this. Dude, fuck this. This creeps me out just watching it. And so they go all the way to the bottom to get gold. They must have a lot of gold down there.
There's a lot of gold down there.
Like, how much is this worth? 29 degrees Fahrenheit temperature of the water. Motherfucker.
I mean, he has to get through the overburden.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, he does quite well.
Like, what's quite well? Like, what do you think these guys pull a year?
Well, they probably make more off Discovery Channel than they do gold mining.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I don't know.
I know a few of these guys. They don't get much gold, but they're
willing to do that
Oh, yeah.
for not much gold.
Yeah, but they get a pretty good paycheck. You got to remember something. You know this. There's nothing real about reality TV.
That's true.
Nothing.
That's true.
We did it. We did a stint with Discovery Channel. I'm sorry, National Geographic. No more.
It's a disaster.
Well, yeah. I mean, they want to make drama. They want to pit the kids against each other.
Oh, yeah.
We don't. No. We don't do that shit.
Isn't that hilarious? Like that's all those shows. All those shows are like that. They're all like someone squabbling. It's all housewives, and you gotta hate on her and hate on him.
Those are good.
Oh, these little breakers? Yeah, these are good. You want one?
No thanks.
So you're off nicotine entirely?
Well, I do the Zins once in a while.
Once in a while.
Doctor,
You know what's good?
My
These are
doctor
good.
said that.
These are Tucker Carlson's. Makes his own. Alps.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Oh, cool. No, I was talking to the doctor. You know, he says you might go through some nicotine withdrawals, and I said, no, I won't. I quit. I'm done. He says it's not the nicotine that's hurting you. It's the smoking that's hurting you. The carcinogenics going in your lungs and all the chemicals and all that bullshit. He says nicotine's as good as caffeine. Mm-hmm. It's just straight up nicotine's fine.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I'm going, okay, I like that. I've tried it.
It's a legitimate cognitive enhancer. It's a legitimate what they call a nootropic. It really does affect you cognitively. The thing is, like, the best way to get it is a cigarette, and like doing it that way is killing you. It kills everybody. It robs you. It gives you something, and it robs you.
Yep.
Gives you something, takes it away, and you don't notice.
And in my case, I got to the point in my life where I'm going, I've done it for so long, something's going to get me.
Yeah.
But now I realize, hey, it won't be that. It won't be smoking. It might be a bear coming up on me without me seeing it. Might drive a cat over the edge. I don't know what'll happen. But I honestly never thought I'd get past 50 when I was growing up.
Really?
I thought I'd be dead by 45.
Why?
Child of the 70s, man. It's all fucked up back
No
then.
seatbelts. Yeah.
You know, there's a former governor of Alaska named Walter Hickel that Richard Nixon appointed to be Secretary of the Interior in 1970. So he went and did that and went into Nixon one day and says, the Vietnam War is wrong. Nixon goes, you're fired. And get out of here. So he went back to Alaska, became a governor, great governor. Probably one of the best governors we ever had. And at some point, he was a Republican, but the Republicans already had a candidate. The Democrats had a candidate, so he ran as an Alaskan for Independence candidate. Their party platform was to secede from the United States. And I used to be the treasurer for that group. And I'm going, I like this guy. That sounds like fun. Let's do that. That guy got elected.
Wow.
And Jack Coghill was his lieutenant governor. I knew him quite well.
So he wanted to become a country.
I still do. If I'm telling you, my contingent.
You want the United States to take over Canada, but you want Alaska to be its own country.
This was all when Biden was there.
Right.
I'm thinking, worst case scenario, we're going to get the girl that didn't want to be on your show. If we get her, I want Alaska to become its own country. We just got to get away from this. It's a train wreck.
Yeah.
But since Trump got in and he's doing the things that he said he was going to do, hey, I like the idea. You want to expand America? Expand America. It's a good idea. It's been done before.
So you're willing to keep Alaska as a part of America?
Yeah.
Why don't you run for governor?
Ah, fuck that.
You'd be a fun governor.
I would be a fun governor. And
The way you said it. Give it a go.
No.
Successful Alaskan businessman.
Why don't you run for governor?
No. I don't have time. I'm busy.
I know you're busy. But I don't.
No.
I can't do it.
You don't need that in your life. I'm just kidding. I'm completely kidding.
People come up and go, give me something. This is an issue. And I'm thinking, why is it an issue? I don't give a shit about that. That's not a good politician.
Right.
A politician I knew that I talked to one day, he was a state senator. He goes, here's a trick. All you do when they say that, you go, I see. That's it.
That's it.
Just say, I see.
You listen to them, I see, and you don't really care.
No, you don't give a fuck.
Well, a lot of them definitely don't. A lot of them are just using it as like an audition to become president. You know, they just want to do a good enough job to get the big job.
Well, President Trump just announced recently that he wants to get a gas line built through Alaska. And talking about governors, Governor Palin appointed me to be the gas line project coordinator for DOT back when she was governor. And there's another guy that worked for DOT named Frank Richards. And so I went to work to get a gas line permit written and work with a guy named Harry Noah, who was a commissioner under under Governor Hickel. He was a commissioner of DNR. So him and I worked on this permit to get a pipeline built through Alaska. It took us 3 years. I'm the guy that wrote it. I'm the guy that signed it along with Harry. So when President Trump was doing an interview 3 days after he got elected, he goes, and we have a fully permitted pipeline in Alaska to go ahead and build a gas line through Alaska. I go, whoa. Stop the TV and back it up a little bit. I wrote the fucking permit. I signed the fucking permit. He's talking about some work that I did. That's all right. So Frank Richards now is the president of the Alaska Gas Line project, and they just inked a deal with Japan, who came in and said, yeah, we want to buy into this. It's a $44 billion project.
So what's the hurdle for pipelines and for oil drilling in the past? Is it environmental? The people worried it's going to ruin the environment?
There's a thing called ANWR, the Arctic National Wildlife Range.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, something like that. And when the president renamed, ANWR, you're not allowed to drill in ANWR. You can't drill for oil in ANWR. There's a lot of oil there, but the feds said you can't drill for oil there. You can't produce oil out of there. But that was for the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. But if you change it to the America National Wildlife Refuge, kind of like the Gulf of America, you might be able to drill in there.
Is that really all it takes? You just got to rename it?
Apparently the Gulf of America works.
So they're going to re-drill, they're going to start drilling in the Gulf of America now? It is, by the way, very hilarious.
I bet they do.
When he said it at the inauguration, was like, this motherfucker. Like, this is such a crazy thing to say.
And he did it. He signed it yesterday on the way across the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
I was in, where were we staying? On the way over in Louisiana, having dinner. And I asked the waitress, I said, how far away are we from the Gulf of America? Boy, if that looks to kill. Oh, no.
Well, we're very divided as a country. My hope is that what he does winds up being undeniably good. This is the best case scenario. That's what I hope for every president. What happens is undeniably good, everybody benefits, and we all realize, like, hey, we're going to be okay. But we should be united as a country. We shouldn't be united only with the people of our political party. That's stupid. We're supposed to be one team. And, this is the new coach or this is the new president. Okay, get on board. This is what's happening now. And if there's something that you think is egregiously wrong, like all this USAID stuff, hey, maybe there's some really good programs in there that we should all examine and we should reinstate. But they should examine it. The idea that you shouldn't examine it, there's no argument for that. Once you found $200 million that goes to transgender animal tests, you got some fuckery. You can't spend $200 million on transgender animal tests while you're $36 trillion in debt and not spending any money on East Palestine.
Yep.
What happened to that place? Huh? What about the toxic spill in East Palestine? What about the health effects of those people that had to deal with that burning toxic shit in their air for weeks and weeks?
Yep.
What happened to them? Anybody check? Anybody go into that ground and see what the groundwater's like? Anybody dig that stuff out and fucking process it? Are they doing anything about that?
Not yet. They go in. You can see videos where they stick sticks in the water and the sheen comes right out.
Bro, how about Flint, Michigan? How about that?
Yep.
How about their water still fucked up?
Yep.
Can I get a glass of water? Remember Obama did that? This is not a stunt. I want a glass of water. And he sips it like this, like a little lizard. he barely drank it. It's so crazy to ask for a glass of water where the water's polluted and you don't even drink it. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. He didn't even take a gulp. You ever see that? He sips it like this. Like barely. Have you seen it?
Uh-uh.
You should watch it. You should watch it because it's fun. It's fun to watch because it's so crazy. It's almost like they were trying to talk him into it. And he was like, I'm not drinking that fucking water. And they're like, listen, just drink a little bit of it. It'll be good for everybody. Just go out there and say, can I get a glass of water?
It is. There you go. Generally I have not been doing stunts here, but,
Watch this.
And
what was that?
This used a filter. The water around this table, was Flint water that was filtered. And it just confirms what we know scientifically, which is that if you're using a filter, if you're installing it, then Flint water at this point is drinkable.
Stop. Pause. If I was in an audience, I'd be yelling, chug, 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 chug. Get him gallons of that and then monitor his diarrhea. Okay, what are you talking? You didn't even drink that. Make your pasta in that, sir. Go make your rice in that water. Using a filter. These people are so poor. That's a very impoverished community. I bet a lot of those people don't have filters. So you're saying if they don't have filters, they're fucked? Is that what you're saying? And you only drank it like this. You barely drank it. It didn't move. The level of water didn't change.
No.
You just dipped your tongue in there. You didn't really drink. That's so crazy to not drink it.
Well, we did 8 years with that guy, right?
Yeah.
We got out of a long relationship.
Well, kind of with all of them. It's just the job of being a president is so hard. I used to say I want Hillary to win because I want a woman to be president. So I realized they can't fucking do that job either. Nobody does that job right. Everybody fucks it up. Nobody ever gets it right. It's always just a disaster. Half the country at least hates you. The other giant percentages of the population, even on your team, are disappointed in you because you didn't do exactly what they want you to do.
We've got a pretty good group of legislators in Alaska.
Yeah.
But, yeah. For the most part, they're all, they're going to have their squabbles and stuff, but pretty much everybody on the same page.
I think you guys are different humans. Alaska's just more durable, reliable people because you have to deal with the cold, and you got bears and moose and shit running around up there.
Yeah.
I think it makes different people. When you live in the same neighborhood as grizzly bears, it just makes everything a little different.
Yeah, it actually does, and the people are generally nice to each other and considerate.
Well,
But
they
during-
seem, like I said, more robust. When I was in Anchorage, me and my friend Ari went up there, did some shows, did a little fishing. We were like, these people are like better people. They're like more solid. Like everybody, even just like the regular people hanging out at the bar, they like had their shit together more. And then we were both like, I guess they kind of have to, because otherwise you freeze to death. You can't just be a fuck off up here. It's too goddamn cold, and you can't just go wander in the woods. You'll get eaten. Like you're food, Jack. You can't go too far. Stay close. Stay with your people. Support each other. If someone has a flat tire, fucking help him. All right, because you would want to get help too. You could die out there. That's the difference.
I used to always think that if I go bear hunting, I'm going to go with somebody who I can outrun. But now I get a lot of people asking me if I want to go bear hunting with them. No.
Yeah, you could be in the wrong spot. It doesn't matter who's running fast. That bear's going to get somebody or all of you, depending upon what's going on. But that's a dangerous kind of hunting. You're hunting something that's like the apex predator of North America.
Yep.
And you don't even eat it. I have a bunch of friends who go grizzly hunting. And the way they put it, like, first of all, you have to control the populations. Like, if you don't, you get a situation that's happening like in Montana where they want to list them. But they've been delisted for so long. Like, the only place you can hunt grizzly bears in America is Alaska. And a lot of people that live in Montana don't think that's good. They think they should put them back on the list because there's way too many human interactions.
I have a grizzly bear hide I got from Slingsby up in Nome. And it's on that 1885 pool table that I told you
Oh, yeah.
that you're going to have to. I'm not going to play on that pool table till you show up.
Oh, Jesus.
It covers that pool table.
I'm sure.
Got 2 of those now.
They're big animals, man. Especially the coastal ones. Have you ever seen one of the coastal ones up close?
Not grizzly bears. I've seen polar bears and stuff like that.
You seen polar bears up there?
Well, not in Fairbanks. I've seen north of Nome.
Yeah?
Yeah, they have them up there. I mean, they had one polar bear, apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, that walked into the interior of Alaska. I mean, it just went traveling.
Really?
Going to have me a little cross-country jaunt.
Fuck running into that thing.
Well, they eat nothing but meat.
Yeah.
They're badass motherfuckers.
They're the most badass of all of them. They are just 100% predator. That's the sketchiest bear to be around. There's this video I was watching of these guys the other day that were in a truck, and they were filming this polar bear as it just kept getting closer and closer, and then they started panicking. Okay, it's like 30 yards away, like that sprinting distance. We got to get in the truck, and they get in the truck, and the polar bear just climbed on top of the truck. It was like, and he was like, "We got to start the truck and get the fuck out of here. Like this thing's gonna break the glass."
They're bad.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck with them.
They look at that's just a can of meat to them. They don't give a fuck about you. You're just food. They live in a frozen wasteland, and anything that's moving around is edible.
Yeah. Last time.
Yeah. Look at these guys. Bro, don't do that. Do not do that. Please don't do that. That's so dangerous. That's not your friend. Dude, that thing just wants to eat you. Isn't it so weird? It's so not worried about people because it's not threatened by anything because it's such a top dog that it just like will just wander right up to your building. Hey, what's inside? I smell meat. I want to come in that building.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I talked about pool.
Yeah, what's that?
Last time you and I were talking, you said you had a friend that makes pool cues.
Yeah.
Here's a chunk of Mammoth Ivory for him.
Whoa. This is my buddy Eric Crisp. He makes sugar tree cues. This is beautiful, man.
That's a good solid chunk.
That's a chunk of Mammoth Ivory. That's wild.
The exterior on the blue color is called Vivianite. It comes from mineralization on frozen artifacts like that.
I'm going to send him this.
Yeah.
And tell him to turn this into a masterpiece.
Yep.
He makes incredible pool cues, and he does use Mammoth ivory. He uses it sometimes in the joint.
Yeah,
He
you said
uses it
you had one that
Yeah.
had Mammoth ivory in it, and
What is that, Jamie? Vivianite. Whoa. God, that's so beautiful.
that's the mineralization you see on that. We find it's actually easy to find bones sometimes because they're colored blue.
Really?
Yeah,
From mineralization.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I have some that are really, really blue.
That bison, the steppe bison skull that you gave me, is that thing freaks people out. They're like, "How old is that?" Like, well, we have to get it tested, but it could be 10,000 years old.
No, it could be 40,000 years old. The one that was found over the hill from us, 38,000 years old.
Wow.
I haven't tested any of my steppe bisons.
Wow.
It's $400 a pop, but I would bet that one's at least 20,000, 30,000 years old.
Whenever I have anybody on that's like an ancient history expert, that's interested in like some of the lost civilization guys, we always talk about your place. Because I'm like, that's a place where it seems like that's evidence that something took place there that killed everything all at once.
Something came in hot, dude.
Something came in hot. And the way you describe it, too, that there's a layer of carbon where
Yeah.
it looks like scorched earth.
Burnt bedrock, burnt gravel, deep, 50 feet down. And since we talked last, I think I kind of figured some things out.
Yeah?
All that material that has ended up where we're at came in, I think we talked about, it came in some kind of water event.
Some flood.
Yeah. And that's called the back channel to the pay, what we're digging up pay out of. So there's a back channel that goes through that valley that's pretty decent in gold. I mean, pretty rich. And the miners used to drift mine that because they couldn't bucket line dredge it. And so it goes around where we're at and it keeps going downstream. So when we moved from where we were at down to, let's go find the back channel. And we set up over here where we started on the left limit. We started going back up, and we found some drift mines up there. And this bone here, I think it was from an old drift mine, a couple hundred years ago, that before the discoveries were even made. Some guys were out there digging around and had an old drift mine going.
Yeah, because what did you date this to? You dated this
That's
to
200 years old.
And this is what kind of an animal?
Steppe bison.
Wow.
Either steppe bison or could be bear. I'm not sure.
How crazy is that? They were around 200 years ago. You think that was a bear?
I don't know.
What the fuck? Imagine the size of that fucking thing. Like, that's his shin.
I don't know. You got some experts in here, and they'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
We call that the Spitzer bone.
Next time I got a biologist in here, I'll say, what do you think that comes from? It would have to be a very specific kind of biologist, right?
A paleontologist worth his weight, or I mean, he should know. I'm not that.
How many more things have they discovered in the East River?
They haven't told me, but there is, I mentioned last time, a research vessel that was out there. And in this business, if someone makes a discovery on my property that's significant, they don't talk about it. They don't want anybody to know about it. But there was a discovery made, not by Dirty Water Don. He's still out there, and he's found all kinds of stuff.
He posts it on his Instagram, stuff that he does find. And he's found it in the exact same place that you were told that the museum dumped it off.
Yep. And I posted a letter or a part of that report that I was hoping that if somebody, I like people to think, here's where it's located, okay? Here's where it was dumped. And it said at the same point where they dumped it, where AMNH dumped it, is where the New York City hospital dumped their stuff. How hard would it be to go to the hospital and go, look at your records and tell me where you used to dump stuff in the 1940s? Just find out. Just ask them. AMNH ain't going to tell us.
Right, but if you know the location where Dirty Water Don found that stuff, it's got to be in there, right?
Oh, it's in there.
Can you go to his Instagram, Jamie? So,
No, it's in
how
there.
many different things has he recovered so far?
I think he's
There's at
found
least 2.
mammoth and bison and a jawbone. It could be a horse. I haven't seen any of it with my own eyes. I haven't. It's
And how much did they supposedly dump in that river?
50 tons.
That is so crazy.
And here's what I was going to tell you. Someone with a research vessel with side scanning sonar and all that stuff apparently found a mound in the river that's like 100, Drew probably knows better than me, 100 feet long, 40 feet high.
Whoa.
60 feet wide. Now, that wouldn't be 50 tons, but it could be a whole bunch of other stuff in, and that's why the report said this will be a significant challenge to future archaeologists. This was written in 49, to future archaeologists. And I'm going, wait, archaeologists are human things. We're talking about paleontology, which is bone things. But AMNH is the one that called it archaeological exploration.
So do they have human bones as well?
Hypothetically.
So hypothetically, on your property, they found human bones too, and just dumped them in the river?
If you,
Why would they do that?
why don't they come clean with the saber-toothed tigers?
What do you mean by come clean with the saber-toothed tigers?
Well, the experts out there will tell you that saber-toothed tigers weren't found in Alaska.
But you have found saber-toothed tiger skulls.
Well, so have they. I have a correspondence posted recently, 2 pages, that's filled with unbelievable things that, yeah, that's one right there.
That's Dirty Water Dawn says that this is the lower jawbone to a steppe bison.
Yep.
He's got some other stuff in there too, right, Jamie? Like maybe a tusk or something, some other things?
Yep.
Yeah, look at that bone. Steppe bison, tibia. So what are you saying, though? Why would they dump off human remains?
They say that, well, the letter says we have yet to find any human remains, but we found spear tips. Well, we found mammoth bones with spear tips in them. We found that stuff.
Do you have a photo of a mammoth bone with a spear tip in it?
Yeah, my daughter's
Where's
holding
that?
up a big mammoth hip bone, and it's got a spear.
Where's that?
Bone Rush, Alaska.
No, but where's it? Where can we see that image?
On my page.
Oh, on your page. Do you have that thing with the spear tip still in it?
Spear tip's out, but we have the bone. We have We have a couple bones like that, Joe.
Why'd you take it out? You're supposed to leave it in
fact,
there.
I posted a picture of 12, or I think it's around 12 spear points that were sent to AMNH that disappeared. Shit disappeared.
Well, you know what? I was talking to a guy the other day about this, and he was saying that he thinks what happens is, Dan Richards, that it goes to wealthy people.
Oh, yeah.
The wealthy people offer them a bunch of money, wealthy donors. They want to get it for their collection, and he was talking about a bunch of different stuff that goes missing.
I have a letter I just posted here just in case we wanted to talk about it from Childs Frick, who was head of AMNH back when this was all going on. His dad was Henry Frick. His dad was the most hated man in America for a while for killing his people. He was a steel guy, a steel industry founder.
Killing his workers?
Yeah, they wanted overtime pay, and they didn't want to work so hard. And he brought in the gang, those hired thugs, the Pinkertons or whoever it was.
And murdered people?
Yeah, I don't know how many they killed of his guys. He was ruthless. Henry Frick was ruthless, and his kid Childs was the one that set this deal up, this tripartite agreement, which is also included in this letter, about AMNH's responsibility with these bones was to just take those of scientific value and do a report on every one they took. They took over 40 years. They took tons and tons and tons of them. Did no reporting, nothing. Dumped 50 tons in the river because they didn't have a place to store them, apparently. Or they didn't care.
So crazy. But why would they dump human bones? Because I would think that would be very valuable.
Well,
You're saying archaeology, so you think it's just spear tips and shit like that?
They found human bones. I'm willing to say that. They found them.
It would also be very confusing if you found Alaskan spear tips in the East River. That would be the confusing thing for archaeologists, I would imagine. They're saying too, kind of,
Yep.
right?
Well, you find a bone with a spear tip in it, or a bone that obviously had a spear tip in it because of the way it's broken. I mean, I have a baby mammoth hip bone that is like that,
Yeah.
identified by reputable paleontologists.
Here's just a for instance. I stumbled across New York Times article talking about
Unearthing the secret of New York's mass graves.
back from since the 19th century, hiring prisoners for 50 cents an hour to jail inmates paid to move mass graves. There would have been no markings of who was what.
Oh, so they dumped that in the river too?
Look where it is. I mean,
They just dumped the bodies in the river. How gross.
they didn't use coffins until recently.
That's nuts. What about vampires?
Well, I mean, they put them in stuff, but like a real nice box.
Come on, man. Did you see Dracula? Yeah.
Crazy.
People are gross. You know, they've been throwing things in that river forever.
Yep.
You know, like most of the world. You go around rivers in most of the industrialized world, those rivers are disgusting.
Well, our state legislature, I told you last time I was going to go political on this. I've got no desire to litigate this thing. Litigation just takes a long time. Politically, I told you last time, we're going to go this route. And I have a letter I just posted from the Alaska State Legislature to AMNH to return the bones from the Senate majority. The guy that wrote that's a fellow by the name of Click Bishop, and he was the Senate president signed it with him. But Click is a good, honest, decent, gold-mining legislator. He was termed out this time and decided not to run again because I suspect he'll run for governor here and he'll probably win in a couple of years. And Click is one of those guys that wants the bone back. We met with him and his chief of staff, the president of the university, and the museum guys and some other state legislators. And we want them back.
This is very interesting. We understand there are unopened crates sitting in storage in New York. They present an opportunity for further scientific discovery in fields such as paleontology, ecology, and anthropology. Therefore, facilitating the return of this collection is crucial to ensure access for researchers, educators, and students within Alaska, thereby advancing scientific knowledge and understanding of the state's natural history. There are researchers in Alaska ready and waiting to open these crates that have been collecting dust in your basement. Yeah. Get at it. Give up the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring them home.
Bring them home.
Well, and I made the offer to build a research facility, store everything. We'll bring them all back here. The scientists can have access to them, but the bones are not leaving Alaska. They're not leaving Alaska.
You don't trust them anymore.
Fuck no.
Why would you?
Why would I?
Why would you?
I don't.
You shouldn't.
And I get a lot of people, I need a mammoth bone for our studies. You're just trying to collect something here.
Yeah, fuck off. I'll never get it back.
Come on up and find it.
Yeah.
Come find them. They're all over the place.
That's what's nuts is that you keep finding them. Like, what was that event like that led so many bodies to be in this small area? Because you said it's only like 5 acres or something like that?
2.1.
2.1.
Yeah, we had maybe another 0.1.
But there's another area that you said that's a little larger?
Yeah, it's downstream. Makes this one look like a piker.
How big is that area?
It's a mile long.
Whoa.
This is only
and you're finding them there, too?
Oh, yeah.
So this main area where you're pulling most of this stuff is only 2.1 acres?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is, what a dump of bodies it must have been.
Yeah, it was incredible. So when we started back down at the mouth and headed up the left limit, we hit some fairly modern-day drift mines on that side until we got farther up. And we went all the way up to where we had been set up before, and we crossed back over, tracing this back channel, because that's where the gold was. We didn't get maybe 50 feet, and we were finding these steel tubes sticking out of the ground. Well, that's how they used to melt permafrost, but this was virgin ground that had never been mined. So we kept going, and we found some pretty significant things over there. And we're on the hunt.
Oh. I mean, imagine what the event must have looked like to lead all those bodies in one small area. I mean, it only makes sense that was a mass extinction event, right? Am I wrong?
It went over thousands of years because we've dated anywhere from 40,000-year-old bones to 12,000-year-old bones in that deposit.
Wow.
So
everything kept dying there. So it might have been multiple events.
yeah, might have been.
Well, that was one of the things they thought about the Younger Dryas impact theory, right? They think there was multiple times where that happened. And then I wonder what the population density was like of animals back then, too. Because if you do have these enormous animals that are very difficult for predators to hunt, and they manage to get into large numbers and they can defend themselves. Like if you have a large population of woolly mammoths, and bisons and steppe bisons and fucking saber-toothed tigers up there. What the fuck did that look like? Like, if you're finding that many bones, imagine going back in time 30,000 years ago and just being a fly on the wall and seeing what life was like back then.
Well, we can't seem to find anybody that's willing to come up there and study it. I've made all these offers,
Do you think it's because of the restrictions? Because they're scared that you're going to own everything and you're going to...
Well, the two of the employees at AM&H happened to have a conversation with somebody that is related to the state of Alaska or employed by the state of Alaska, where they said, we don't want the bones to get into Reeves's hands because they'll lose, the scientific community will no longer have access to them. And they're real valuable, and we think he's going to sell them. Now, the people that he said that to was with some legislatures, university employees, and where we were at, you couldn't even count the fucking number of tusks. And so
that's such an ignorant thing to say, because if you're going to sell them, you already have way more than you need to sell.
We're not there to sell tusks. I want to figure out. I'm goofball this way. What the fuck happened? Why did 65% of the world's megafauna, or North America's, why did it go all extinct all at once?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And they have in that collection that they didn't dump in the river. In my collection was, let's say it's a 2,000 square foot or 2,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. I got 42 pieces over here. They got the rest. I'm not going to solve anything with 42 pieces. I want it all. Put it all back in Alaska. Let the state of Alaska study the fuck out of it, and we will tell you how the extinction event happened. It's been, paleontologists know that, but they don't have money. They don't really want to put up with the shit they have to do to get it. You know how hard it is to dig in ice in permafrost?
Well, I see those hoses you use.
Yeah, but I'm not digging it. I'm thawing it.
Right.
Take a scalp. You know how the paleontologists see them on TV with the little scalpel and, toothbrush and shit. That don't fly around there. You gotta melt it and get it the hell out of there. And that's people criticize for how we do it. But if we don't do it, we don't get it. And we're not going to use mechanical equipment on it because I don't want to destroy it. I could strip that old 2.1 acres in 2 shifts. And I'd lose every fucking bone. Because it'd be smashed.
Right.
You run a D10 across that stuff, it ain't going to survive, man.
Of course. No, the way you're doing it seems like the only way to do it.
It is the only way to do it.
It's just all these paleontologists, they're all connected to universities, right?
They're all connected that way, and they don't want to piss off AM&H because we can't hire. This guy needs our grant money to do what he does, or he needs to be our employee. Hey, here's one for Elon Musk and his DOGE guys. Go check into those guys and see where their money goes, the AM&H. See where their money goes, the federal grants they get. See where that stuff goes. Might as well, because that's the only way you're going to bring them in to heal. These guys have been running unfettered forever. Nobody checks on it. The management's horrible. Nobody comes in and says, "What do you spend that $2 million on?" I don't know. Look at that funny-looking bird over there under. It's out of control.
Do you know this for a fact? Like, have you looked into it? Do you know how they run? Or do you just basing this on your interactions with them?
I'm basing on my interactions with them, but I will tell you this. One of the main people that, people say, you need to litigate this. You need to sue their ass. I'm pretty good at that. I've been involved in 2 of the longest lawsuits in state history, and I've won both of them. So I'm betting like Hall of Fame kind of stuff. But the guy that made the deal with me I can't depose him. Can't depose him. It's like be deposing a cabbage, a head of lettuce.
What do you mean?
He's like Biden. That's why
he's gone?
That's what I hear.
Oh.
But he's still employed. He's still pulling in a pretty good paycheck. To me, that, maybe you do that in the private sector. Maybe you do it, and I don't know how much money that AM&H gets from the feds, but we looked into it a little bit. They get some. If they don't want to give Alaska, the state of Alaska, if you look at who wrote that letter, it's not John Reeves now. It's the state of fucking Alaska. And I told you, it's the only way to get them back. We got to get our politicians up there going, no.
And are they willing to do this?
They just wrote a letter saying that's what you're supposed to do.
So what's the next step?
I don't know. We haven't gotten a response from that fucking letter.
Do they have to respond?
Apparently not.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, right?
Fuck these guys.
They're not accountable.
Fuck them. Fuck this dirt tramp up there.
They're the AMNH. They're a prestigious institution that's beyond reproach, sir.
And I said, I know. If you have the politics lined up right and you see the right people where they should be and you got people that want to just do, that's all I want to do is the right thing.
Right.
Just do the right thing.
Is the AMNH, is that where you go to see the dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Well, they do that. That's cool.
Yeah. Drew and I, my wife and Laura went to New York to meet with AM&H, and they had to stand in the rain for 4 hours and then wouldn't meet with us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you told me this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You're a problem. They'd rather just avoid you than deal with whatever happened when they dumped 50 tons of bones in the East River and they have a bunch more just sitting there. What do you think they would discover? If you got it all, what would be best case scenario? You get all the bones back. Alaska wins.
Yeah.
You bring researchers over there. They work with you.
Yeah.
What do you think they discover?
They discover why all this megafauna, what happened? Why did the sea levels rise 400 feet all at once? What went on here? There's animals that we found, they said didn't exist there.
Now, they haven't amended that, even though you found those? That seems crazy to me.
They're doing a little backpedaling now, but what they need to do is put all the pieces of the puzzle on the table and start putting it together.
So tell me the animals that you found that are there that aren't supposed to be there. Sabertooth tiger is one of them, right?
Dire wolves.
Dire wolves,
Yeah.
wow.
Badgers.
Badgers. They're not supposed to be there?
We told you elk last time, and you pointed out there's an island that has some elk on it.
Yeah.
But they were planted there. They're not.
Oh, they were?
Yeah. Elk were not known to be up in my neck of the woods.
Oh, no kidding.
And moose came in later, but they didn't even know moose was up there in that time. We found 4 of them. So moose were up there. And there was a transition from grasslands, which is good for the mammoth and the bison and the horses and the caribou, to the woodlands where browsers could feed.
Right.
The mastodons, the mammoths, or not the mammoths, the other animals that ate that kind of stuff. And the carnivores were having a field day. They didn't care.
Right.
Who's eating what.
Do you think they brought in elk to hunt, or do you think they brought them in to just to have them there?
I think, no, they weren't brought in.
Check how did elk get on a Fognac Island?
Brought them there in
1929.
1929. 8 calves moved from Washington.
Wow, just 8 in Washington. That makes sense because they're Roosevelt elk. That totally makes sense. Roosevelt elk are a larger-bodied animal that has smaller antlers than a Rocky Mountain. Roosevelt elk in Alaska originated from a transplant of 8 calves captured in the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State in 1928 and moved to a Fognac Island in 1929. Wow,
But
that's crazy.
We find sheds of the elk.
Antlers?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And those are like thousands of years old.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were there already. Well, that's the thing about
They
elk
came across
in this
the bridge.
country. Right.
Yeah.
In this country, they used to be everywhere.
Yep.
And then people just wiped them out when they had market hunting. That's, when they made it illegal to sell wild game, that was the reason for it, because poor people were just killing everything they could, and they almost wiped them out. They wiped out a lot of species. Like elk used to be in every state, and now they're in a handful. And they've repopulated them in some areas. Pennsylvania, Kentucky, there's been a bunch of success stories of repopulating elk to the point where they can hunt them now. But they used to be everywhere, including Texas.
Mammoth shoulder.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's
Whoa!
that's the one that had a spear tip in it.
Really? Do you have a photo of it with the spear tip in it?
I have a little video of it.
Where?
That's on my phone someplace.
God damn it. Find it. I want to see it.
I'll find it.
I would never take that spear point out. I'd have that thing on display. That is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
a
it's
spear
cool.
point inside of a mammoth
Just
bone?
stuck right in it.
Fuck, that's cool.
I have another picture up there if you want to pull that bison head up. With the spear point in it, still in it.
Really?
Right here. By the,
Oh, my God.
By the eyes.
Where's that?
Not that one. It was fairly recently, Jamie,
Oh, really?
that I posted it. Yeah.
Without a doubt, Mike.
You're going the wrong way.
Well, there's the Trump thing. We should go read the comments. You're a terrible person.
Here's Click Bishop. He's the senator that sent the letter. Keep going.
Shout out to Click.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Somewhere.
How often do you post?
I posted these to make it easier for Jamie to
These
find.
are all, I'm back months now. I was going back to the top of your feed.
Was it months ago or was it recently?
Probably in the last week or two.
Yes, that's what I was going back
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong direction.
to. Sorry. This is the top.
See it anywhere? Whoa. Look at that skull.
Yeah, keep going. That's a mammoth brain by those sunglasses.
Really? That's a brain?
Yeah. Half of one.
So is that mineralized?
It was
Like
found
fossilized?
frozen, dehydrated.
That's what that looks like?
Yeah.
Wow. What'd you do with that thing?
It's in the freezer.
Right next to the frozen pizza?
Yeah.
Go down next to the ice cream. Yeah, that's a mammoth brain. That's
There's the,
30,000 years old.
There's another one that got hit by a spear.
Wow.
That's a little mammoth.
That's some fucking penetration right there, Jack.
Yep.
That's amazing. But
And then
where's
you
this
got right
skull? Where's this skull?
Oh, there it is, right there.
Where?
Right smack dab in the middle.
That one?
Yep.
Where's the point?
Right by the arrow.
Right by the arrow.
Yep. Go up right there.
Where?
No, go where the cursor was. Right there.
That's a tip?
Yep.
Whoa. So it's kind of mineralized too.
Yep. Stuck right in it, welded to its face.
Whoa. How did you know that that's what that was? It looks like a tumor to me. Did you have to clean it up to see the difference?
It's been cleaned up quite a bit. It's not bone, it's stone.
Wow. And you're going to leave it in there like that?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you get an x-ray of it or anything so you
No.
could see it?
No.
Oh, I'd want to see that. That's amazing. What is it like being on a piece of land that at one point in time was just like this insane habitat? I mean, it must have like some bizarre feel to just the land itself when you're pulling out saber-toothed tiger skulls and woolly mammoth tusks, and it just must feel insane that you're pulling all this stuff out of the ground that you live on.
Well, we live in the Ice Age. We go to work in the morning, we're in the Ice Age.
Yeah.
It's a different way to think. You see something, you go, okay, what the fuck? What is this? You find something, you go, that's not human. I mean, that tool was made by a human. If you go back to
But
that,
also, if you find humans, you gotta hug and keep it on the DL.
I think so.
I would imagine. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know nothing.
Never
But I would
found them.
imagine if I found some humans, I wouldn't tell nobody.
Well, that we found that one tool that was obviously shaped by humans.
Right.
It's carbon dated 25,000 years old.
Wow.
And it looks like it was sawed. And it looks just like if I was to take this cup, you hold it in your hand, just like something to mash anything with.
Right. Like a mortar and pestle.
Tenderized, there it is.
Is that
right
it
there.
right there?
Yep.
So that's a stone tool.
No, that's mammoth bone.
Mammoth bone.
But if you look on the next picture,
So the bottom of that thing was, oh, wow. That's 25,000 years old.
yep.
And it's sawed off at the bottom.
Yep.
That's
And
nuts.
if you look closely, you can see there's some kind of organic material in some of those cracks and crevices. And you see some Schrager lines in there.
What is a Schrager line? Does that mean like saw?
That's a line in the mammoth ivory that's different than elephant ivory.
Oh.
You can tell with the difference.
And this was probably sawed off a long time ago, and now it's kind of fossilized, right?
Without any prompting, Joe, I've given that thing to other people to hold.
Uh-huh.
You know, it sits like that. They pick it up. It's the first thing they fucking do.
Really?
It's like, I know what this is.
So it's a tool.
Everybody picks it up.
Well, whatever it is,
It's perfectly in your hand.
it certainly seems like humans made it.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way you get something that's that flat out of nature. And it's not like those things snap off. They're not like elk antlers. They don't regrow them, right?
Well, the other thing is, I said this last time, I'll say it again. We lived with woolly mammoths for tens of thousands of years. We know what that tool is. It's in our DNA. First thing we do when we pick it up, boom, boom, boom. We don't feel like that about rats. People go, woolly mammoth, little kids love them. Parents love them. Everybody likes woolly mammoths.
You think it's our DNA because we used to hunt them?
Fuck, no, we live with them. I think we domesticated them.
What?
I think we live side by side with them.
Really?
I really do.
Why do you think they domesticated them? What makes you think that?
Okay, you got a big hairy animal.
Right?
Boy, they got some, like muskox. Let's get some of this and make clothing out of it. Let's take this fur.
Right, but why that? Why domesticate them versus hunt them?
You hunt them with a spear. I mean, you can knock one over if it's dead, or you stick a spear in it, crippled.
But do you think they actually kept them as like stock?
No, I think they just lived together.
They just lived together.
Yeah, they didn't. It's like that polar bear you saw walk up that guy's truck.
Uh-huh.
And one man would go, "What the fuck? You can do to me?"
Right.
Well, if you want to kill half your tribe, go try to stick a spear in that guy.
Right.
He's got 10-foot tusks.
Right. And
He'll
they're
clear the
huge.
field.
And also, you got to penetrate all that fur and all that hide
With a spear.
with a spear that you're throwing.
And people go, well, they had atlatl. Okay. Where are you going to build an atlatl on a grassland
Right.
where there's no sticks?
Well, how are they making a spear then?
Well, I don't know. How are they making a
They
spear?
must have some sticks,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. They had spears if they had wood big enough for a spear, but atlatls are not spear size.
Well, it's a different shape, certainly. But if you have enough wood to make a spear, wouldn't you have enough wood to make an atlatl? I mean, when's the invention of the atlatl?
I don't know.
Let's find that out.
But if you had a spear that you crafted,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a picture of spear tips that were sent to New York, and other document in there talks about finding them in association with the bones. They weren't studying this stuff. They just wanted, AM&H just wanted the booty. That guy Charles Frick wanted these things back in New York City.
So here's the atlatl. 17,000 to 21,000 years ago. So if it's 25,000 years ago, it might not even be an atlatl. But who knows how accurate they are with this? Like 20, I mean, that's a big gap, 17,000 to 21,000 years ago. But this is also people that didn't think that saber-toothed tigers lived in Alaska. Right?
It's all artist renditions. All of the stuff that we've been taught is based on what somebody painted or drew or sketched.
Or they initially established, and now they've been defending that timeline.
Or even some of the cave drawings that shows people sitting on woolly mammoths.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen them before online. If you believe everything you see.
Like when Ted Nugent rode that buffalo on stage? Like that kind of thing?
That was good.
But that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they domesticated them. That's interesting. Well, we know humans have domesticated elephants, right? And they did it a long time ago, and they rode elephants. I mean, we know they do it in India.
Yeah, you rode them.
Yeah, I rode them in Thailand. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Just seems like it could go wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be part of my thing.
Yeah, you make friends with them first. They have a whole process you do. You feed them. You give them sugar cane.
You hose them down, take care of them. You be nice to them first, and then they let you ride them. But you got to be nice to them even when you're riding them. You have to have like good energy. I don't think they necessarily enjoy having a little fucking human on their back. So it's like it's their world. It just seems like a dumb idea. Like, I'm happy just petting you and giving you food. I don't need to ride you.
This is pretty badass looking.
Is that an atlatl?
I think this might be the one they found.
Whoa.
In a cave in France.
Wow.
Antler, carved out of antler.
Wow. Who's a wizard that figured out how to make something to put extra leverage on a spear?
His name was Musk.
That's the other thing that Dan Richards was bringing up, like the fact that bow and arrow is a difficult thing to invent, but yet they invented it all over the world. Does that make sense? Or were people traveling from all over the world with the technology of the bow and arrow and spreading it around the world? He said that might make more sense than all these people from all these different spots all figuring out this complicated thing where you get a thing, you pull it back, you get a string, and you let loose, and the arrow has to fly perfect. And more likely, someone figured it out in some place, and it was so awesome that they started spreading that idea across the world.
Yeah, and it takes a while back then to get the word out.
Yeah.
I mean, people had to travel to spread the word. I don't think they had smoke signals so they could explain it in the sky.
I don't think you'd be able to explain a bow and arrow in the sky with smoke signals. I'm willing to go on a limb on that.
We come up with the expression, the cloud. We use the cloud now.
Yeah, that was the original cloud, smoke clouds. But I mean, what did they send? Did they have a code when they had smoke signals? Or was it just the smoke itself? Yeah.
I had no idea.
So you found spear tips. Have you found arrowheads as well?
Not arrowheads.
Only spear tips.
Spear
It's
tips.
more primitive.
Yeah, and the way we collect, we don't get all the small stuff, but we bale all the small stuff out of the drainage and we stack it so it can be gotten later. We don't lose any of it.
But you might have a bunch of like spearheads just laying around.
I bet we have millions of what I call microfossils. Millions.
Really?
In the stuff that we bale with the equipment and just stack it up.
When you first discovered the saber-toothed tiger head, when was that?
I found one in 1974.
That was the first one?
Yeah, but I was mining up north.
And when you found that, what was the reaction to that? Did it have the teeth in it and everything, or was it just...
It had one full tooth and one broken half.
Really?
And I think I told you, the British Museum visited.
Yeah.
Guy offered to take it back and clean it and restore it and send it back to me. Never saw it again.
Of course.
The one that was sent to the...
How fucking gross is that? That they just keep doing that same shit?
They do it all. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And in the last year or two...
Why should you have it? This is important for humanity. Some dirty gold miner.
The Smithsonian, AM&H got in trouble for grave robbing. Most museums have done that. They've taken artifacts from cultures and they just keep them.
So these people, they found this they got this saber tiger. Wow, look at that one.
That's a cave lion skull that we found.
Holy shit. Was that supposed to be there? The cave lion?
Yes. That's the best one ever found in Alaska.
Wow.
My son Kinsey and I found that together.
Fucking A. That thing's amazing. Look at the teeth on that thing.
Yep.
So this saber-toothed skull is probably very valuable that you found.
Yeah, and
because I've seen them for sale.
Right, and AM&H says they don't have one, but we were going through the shipping records and we can see where they were shipped one. The correspondence that I just posted talks about them, getting them, and camels, and other things that were sent that somehow disappeared.
Does Lorenzo Fertitta have a saber-toothed skull in his office? See if that's true. Lorenzo Fertitta is one of the gentlemen who owned the UFC before they sold it to WME. Billionaire character who loved MMA and really was the reason why the UFC blew up, along with Dana White and his brother Frank.
Yeah, he bought it from a museum in Dallas.
Yeah, let me see what that looks like. I think it's like a lot of money. So if you think about your skull and this asshole gets a hold of it, there's probably some asshole over there that's really rich.
I was offered $85,000 for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one for $500,000.
Whoa! Holy shit!
Holy shit's right, man.
Holy shit! How fucking amazing must that thing have been to see live?
They got a bunch of them at La Brea tar pits. I mean, a bunch.
How much did Lorenzo Fertitta pay for the one?
I
Does
didn't
it say?
see it. There's just an article that had words. It didn't have the picture of it.
Did you Google Lorenzo
Yeah,
Fertitta's and see images?
I mean, that's what. Yeah, and that shows me other saber-tooth. I can't.
What
One
about
of
that
those.
article? That
Yeah,
first
that's
article?
what I
No
clicked on.
picture of
Didn't
it?
have picture.
How dare you, bloody elbow? You would think that a
15 years
website
old.
called bloodyelbow.com would really be on top of it. It was 15 years old? That's 2010?
2012 is when the article was posted.
Oh, wow.
There's $160,000 there.
What? It's only 160 grand?
Fossilized saber-tooth tigers.
Oh, I thought it was like millions.
Could be small too. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what that one that was sold at the auction went for. How fucking cool are those things, though, man? Like, what a wild, amazing design that nature created. This is a whole skeleton? Fuck.
40 million years old, it says.
Wow. How many have you found up there of saber-tooth skulls?
2.
Just 2? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's when you come up, give me enough of advance notice, and maybe send Jamie up in advance, and we'll put a little.
Jamie never leaves his apartment. He's not going to go to Alaska. Look at him.
Oh,
What's he going to do with Carl? Can he bring Carl up there? Carl won't survive.
Carl get along just fine with our dogs.
He'll run off.
We'll put up a putting green for him.
He'll attack your dogs. He's a little torpedo.
But put up a. You need to start coming up there in the summer, and we'll do.
Is that the move?
Some
the summertime.
podcasts.
The summertime.
Podcasts from Fairbanks, the Bone Crew. Bring your friends with you. It'd be like protect our parks, only different.
Protect our parks in Fairbanks. That would be fun.
It would be fun.
That would be a good one to do it at your area where you do it.
Put it in an archive building.
Take a day.
Yeah.
Tour the site. Yeah. It's just I want more people to know about it. I really do, because I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. I don't think I've ever heard of a spot like that where there's that many woolly mammoth bones and cave bear bones and all this shit you're pulling out of the ground.
We have fun with it. I mean,
how many different dead animals, like different extinct types of animals?
At least half a dozen.
Wow.
At least. I mean, it's just, I don't know, because we have 300,000 fossils.
And you haven't examined all of them?
Oh, fuck no.
No.
We only have time to pick them up. And maybe I'll take a picture. Or maybe Drew will, or one of my guys, my kids, my wife. Somebody might take a picture of it. Or we'll take a picture of them holding it.
It seems like such a lost opportunity to know about things. And unless you're willing to give in to these guys who have obviously been deceptive with you in the past, how do you get real studies done up there? It's such a conundrum.
The bones ain't go anywhere.
Right.
If the timing ain't right, the timing ain't right. If the politics aren't right, I'm not going to litigate this. It's not worth my time.
It's also, they've shown that they're not willing to be honest with you. The people with the British Museum that stole your saber-toothed tiger skull, what's going on with the AMNH, like, why would you work with anybody when you don't have to?
No. I don't want to. If they're not going to play fair, I don't want to play with them.
It's such a fucking shame, because it's an amazing site. It's such an amazing area that I would think that they would be flocking to try to work with you. Just do anything they can just for the information. I mean, you think of how many discoveries. First of all, the proven fact that saber-toothed tigers lived in a place they didn't think they lived, that alone should be worthy of discovery.
I need to take a leak.
You need to take a leak? We can wrap this up.
It's
No.
Dana's skull,
I got stuff. I'm not done yet.
Oh, we're not done yet.
This is
oh,
Dana's skull, not like
Dana has one?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, look at that thing.
That's why I read through the article and it was saying Dana bought it from a museum.
Holy shit. That's amazing. All right, we'll take a leak. We'll be right back. Dana White got an awesome skull. All right, we're back, sir.
Well, that pneumonia has a certain amount of recovery time.
I'm sure. How long is it?
3 months, maybe.
Really? God damn.
It took 50 years for me to fuck up my lungs. But I'm cleaning them up now.
Well, now's as good a time as ever. Just definitely better now than tomorrow.
It's the only time.
Yeah.
So, where were we?
Dana White has a giant saber-toothed tiger head in his
Wow.
office. And you were telling me you had topics that you wanted to cover, that you brought notes.
Well, we were talking about the gas line.
Right.
Got that going. And
no, there's no worry at all about the environment with these gas lines?
There always is. You're going to have people sue people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want this. Alaska's...
They're worried about environmental disasters, right?
Yeah, but that oil pipeline has been running for a long time. Provides 12% of our country's gas, oil. No problems. Well, we had a problem at, Bly Reef.
What was that?
Exxon Valdez.
Oh, yeah, that was a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was 1988, right? Wasn't it?
Don't remember the exact date.
I think it was. Because I remember people were freaking out that thing wrecked and emptied out a whole oil tanker. 89. Exxon Valdez oil tanker ran aground, Bly Reef in Alaska's Prince William Sound. Spill released more than 11 million gallons of crude oil, the largest oil spill in U.S. history at the time. But that's probably not nearly as much as that one that blew out in the ocean that was just spraying oil.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to be probably more than that.
You're talking about the one in the overseas or the one here?
The one here.
Deepwater Horizon.
Yes, that one. How much did that release?
I'm looking, it doesn't say.
That's what people are scared of.
It says it was continuously releasing oil and natural gas for 87 days.
Well, I brought you some goodies.
What'd you bring?
Well, some things that you can remind you of the Boneyard.
Oh, okay.
We make I got a little bag here for you too, Jimmy.
What do you got here, buddy? Stuff
that Drew and I make.
Oh, guitar picks. Oh, snap. Didn't we give one to Gary Clark Jr.?
Yeah,
yes,
you did. Thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thought you might want some more.
What's
There's
this
some
one
little
right here?
pendants. You can give them to your kids or whoever to put on a necklace. Those are pieces of mammoth ivory.
And how old do you think this little piece is?
That's a pendant. That's probably 30, 40,000 years old.
Isn't that nuts?
Drew and I make those.
Doesn't it seem kind of crazy that there's so much of it, you're allowed to just carve it up and make stuff out of it?
We just use broken stuff.
Yeah.
We have tons of broken tusks. They can't be restored. Complete tusks, we just restore them and then move on to the next one.
And most of them you just have stored. You
Yeah,
must get a lot of offers where people want to buy them, right?
Yeah.
What do you tell them? Go pound sand?
I don't tell them that. I just say, hey, go fuck yourself. Got an image show.
I understand. Yeah.
No, I just don't sell tusks. I don't sell any bones. Not even a. I can give this stuff away because I own it. I can give it away, but I don't sell it.
Have there been anybody, any researchers or anybody, I mean, all these appearances that you've done on the show, it's sort of gotten that whole area a lot of attention. Has there been anybody that has expressed legitimate interest in working with you?
There has been expressions of interest, but they want to come up and they have no place to study stuff. They want to send it all outside to their house and wherever, or
Right.
their university, wherever.
And you don't want that.
It won't come back,
Right.
and the work won't get done.
Right. Or at least it won't come back. At the very least, it won't come back.
Now, you recall last time I was here, I gave you some gun grips from the guy that makes those Burkett Customs. Well, since then, he got into making firearms.
Oh, boy.
So he made it, Drew and I, a couple 1911s. I posted those. Real nice that he's getting into that.
Oh, look at that. Oh, and he uses your map. Wow, look at those handles. That's crazy.
Isn't that something?
Woo! Now, is that the blue one? What is is that the
That's
blue
a-
mineralized?
That's a section of a mammoth tooth that's been cut.
Wow.
And the one on the bottom is mammoth tusk.
And so the mammoth tooth that's been cut, is that the natural color of it, that blue?
No, I think he might have put a little coloring in it.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
In the epoxy. Isn't that something?
That is beautiful.
And he got our name on the guns too.
Wow.
And the logo.
Well,
Now we can say we're insured by Burkett.
don't rob a bank with that gun, because they're going to know who you are.
Yeah. They got cameras that'll tell them.
That's pretty dope.
Anyway, so he did that, and then the other guy who you both have carvings from, Chuck Leek is his name. And you know that one thing that you have, the pipe with the tusks.
Right.
I don't think you've ever used it.
No.
That's his kind of stuff.
Oh, I see.
So he knew I was coming on your show, and he goes, "Can I make you and Joe a special carving? And can you give Joe his when you see him?" I said, "Yeah, I'll give it to him when I go down there." So I brought it to you. It's here in this box. This is the kind of stuff.
Okay.
This is
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. I'll open it right now. Should I open it right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, his name's Chuck Leek, probably the best ivory carver on the planet. There's a picture of him he carved a letter opener for the Pope. There's a piece of tape there in the middle, Joe, on the front, right where your hand is.
Oh, I see it.
Might have to cut it or something.
Yeah. There we go. Whoa. This is crazy. What is this?
Mammoth tooth with a mammoth carved into it.
That is incredible. Look at that. The size of that tooth is insane.
Yep.
It's so heavy.
Yep.
My God. That's amazing carving, too.
Oh, fuck.
Look at that. That's so that will stay here, right here. I'm going to clear off a spot for it.
Yep.
There we go. Right here. That's sick. That's amazing. That'll go right next to your other bone. Thank you very much. That's incredible. What's his name again?
Chuck Leek.
Chuck Leek. Shout out to Chuck Leek.
Mammoth Mogul.
That's
his
incredible.
Instagram.
Part of me feels bad that he carved into this tooth because I kind of just would rather have the tooth. But the artwork itself is insane.
We can arrange that, Joe.
Well, I like it by itself, too. I like the art, too. But it's just like, I just feel weird about people carving into stuff that's so valuable and ancient.
I've had him make me one for every animal that we've found. He's got them with horses.
Jamie, you got to pick this up. Feel how heavy this is. This is so crazy.
Here, Joe, hand Jamie this too.
It's a fucking tooth. It's crazy. It's crazy that that's a tooth. How big were these fuckers?
Huge. That's probably an adult female.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and they want us to believe that hunters wiped all those out.
No way.
With spears. Shut the fuck up.
No, they. Anyways, Chuck has made for every animal that we've found out there. He's taken a mammoth tooth and carved the animal inside it, just like that mammoth.
Oh wow! Including saber-tooth tigers. Wow, look at that one. That's incredible. Amazing work. It's really good.
Well, I want to get the saber-tooth tiger back right now. I can't seem to find it. One museum stole one, and I think the other museum stole one too.
So one museum stole one.
The British Museum stole one.
The one where
and AMH says they never got one. But the correspondence that's listing there talks about them being shipped to New York. Talks about the agreement we had with AMH.
Oh, it never got there. Sorry.
Otto Geist was a scumbag that collected for him. He was a railroad field hand. Now he ended up with a doctorate in anthropology from the University of Alaska, who was in on this whole deal.
Well, I would guarantee that if I lived in like 1920 or some shit like that, and I knew that one of my buddies that I'd been donating to his museum was about to get a saber-tooth tiger head, and I wanted that for my house,
you'd have it.
You'd probably make a little deal.
Of course you would.
Make a little deal. Yeah. I'll give you $1 million in grants. And next thing you know, you have people over for a cocktail party. Yep. Come into the lounge. I want to show you something I acquired.
I have a letter posted of what I consider a pretty interesting way to offer a bribe back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, it's posted.
What was how'd they do the bribe?
It was a letter from Charles Frisk to the president of the University of Alaska. And the sentence that got my attention was, well, first of all, he invited them to join him and his wife in New York City for a night at the mansion. And then the last sentence was, and we can discuss things that man always needs more of.
Pussy?
Well, You don't buy that, you rent that.
Gold? You read it. Gold? What does man need more of?
I would say money.
Yeah, it has to be that.
Yeah.
It has to be he's offering him what man needs more of. Yeah. That's a nice way of saying it.
Back in the day, it was the King's English. I mean,
Right.
they talked proper and all that.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Dan Richards brought that up, that he thinks that that's what happened to a lot of ancient Egyptian artifacts, and they're probably scattered all over the country, or over the world, rather, in the hands of wealthy collectors. Makes sense. You know, people always want to have something that is very rare and that they're not supposed to have, you know?
And we all collect stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you collect? What's your favorite thing to collect?
Pool cues.
Pool cues. There you go.
I love pool cues. They're functional artwork for a game that I'm completely addicted to.
I think you'll be able to make a few out of that.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely will.
I don't know.
Go to get a photo of Sugar Tree cues. He's
If he turns it on a lathe or what, I don't
my
know.
friend Eric. He goes out into the woods and gets his own wood. Like, he does everything from the bottom to the final production of it. He's a really rare guy, because his cues there's a lot of cues they make them real fancy with a bunch of different inlays and different stuff. But what he uses mostly is just the natural beauty of the wood itself. He loves wood. And so his, like, look at that. Look at the burl on that handle. I mean, my God, that's so gorgeous. And that's just nature's gorgeousness. That's nature's artwork. And that's what Eric makes most of his cues like. It's all nature's artwork. And they also play incredible. He's a really good pool player, too, which is kind of important if you're going to be a guy who makes cues. Like, click on that link right there where you just had AZ Billiards right there. That one. That's some of his work right there. Like, it's all so beautiful.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's like I said, you see how his work, it just really highlights the beauty of the wood itself. And they play really good, too. That's the thing about pool cues. They all play different. But they all have a lot of feel to them. Like that one right there by your cursor, right there, it says Facebook, that click. Yeah, right there. Look at that fucking thing. Look how beautiful that handle is.
I can't imagine the work that goes into making one of those.
Oh, it's a lot of work. But it's also that the gorgeousness of it is just natural wood. So I'll send him this stuff. He uses Mammoth Ivory.
I got
all the
more
time.
if he needs more. You know, I don't know what size he needs or how thick it should be.
I don't know either. I'll ask him.
My daughter's Elora, who's married to Drew out there, she makes the jewelry. Last time when we talked, I said she was Saks Fifth Avenue. She's gone beyond Saks Fifth Avenue. Drew and I are still muddling around in the Dollar General with what we do. We're just making a lot of stuff that people like the guitar picks and the ball markers and the pendants. But she takes gold nuggets that she finds and uses ivory that she finds and puts it all together in some beautiful jewelry. And I'm plugging her. It's my daughter, Laura Longley.
Yeah, you showed it to us the last time. It's really beautiful stuff.
She made that necklace for you.
Yeah, and again, that stuff is like you're dealing with something that's 30,000 years old.
And
it's amazing.
About the shine on that wood. You put that on there, and you can shine it to a mirror finish. You can see your face in it.
That's wild.
It is.
It's just also so cool to be in possession of something. Like just to hold this in your hand and to know that this is a part of an animal that roamed the earth 30,000 years ago. Pretty incredible stuff.
It is.
When you're walking around that area, do you get a sense of it? Like, does it feel weird when you're walking around there?
It does, because the stink.
Ooh.
The stink is incredible.
Right, because it's all rotting, right?
Yeah, yeah. We go in the morning, there might be a wolf or a couple coyotes or a lynx or two just kind of rooting around in there going, hey, come back later.
Just smelling the rot.
Yeah, they're looking for it, and they find it. They find bones. They'll come up to our pallets and take bones right off of them.
Wow.
And they'll chew them. Like, they'll chew chunks out of them. It's incredible. You know, the stink is unreal.
And if it wasn't frozen, that's probably what happened to most of the bones that were left behind by all the animals that didn't die in permafrost.
Right. We have bones that have tendons still attached.
Wow.
And
well, you were telling me about a guy who ate some of the.
Oh yeah.
He ate some old meat.
Yeah. Off of Blue Babe, which was 38. The other bison I'd said was 38,000 years old. Yeah, they
Talk
had
about dry aged.
Yeah, they had well, we all eat that shit. He had a stew made out of it.
What was it like?
I talked to him out at the Boneyard. He came out there. He's up in years now, but Dale Guthrie, I believe his name is, and he wrote a book on it, on Ice Age stuff. He made a big old casting of a woolly mammoth that I bought, not from him, but he sold it to somebody who sold it to another guy I knew who had it for sale.
And he made a stew out of old bison meat.
Yeah, they found the whole bison, a mummified bison. And if you saw that little, there it is.
Wow. Dinner party that served up 50,000-year-old bison stew.
And I think it's 38,000, but that's all right.
Wow.
Dale Guthrie is the guy's name.
I would have had to take a bowl of that. I would have had to try it.
Well, you come on up. You come
I
on
would
up.
have tried it.
We'll
I
make
would
it.
have tried it last.
We'll make it.
I'd let a bunch of other eggheads try it first and stare at them. How you feeling? Who knows what kind of fucking diseases are in that bison bone that you're thawing out now?
I'm going to go heavy duty on this carnivore diet.
You should.
Yeah, nothing but bison and mammoth.
Yeah. It'll definitely radically decrease your hunger. To make the stew for roughly 8 people, Guthrie cut off a small part of the bison's neck where the meat was frozen while fresh. When it thawed, it gave off an unmistakable beef aroma, not unpleasantly mixed with a faint smell of the earth in which it was found, with a touch of mushroom, he once wrote. They then added a generous amount of garlic and onions, along with carrots and potatoes to the aged meat. Couple that with wine, it becomes a full-fledged dinner. Did they show a photo of what the dinner looked like?
No, it was in 1984.
They didn't take pictures back then?
No.
How do you not take pictures of your food?
I told you the story of the guy that found that.
Wow.
Not a good. It wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
But they closed his mine down to take that out. They were supposed to get it out in a day, and it took them all summer. The miner got shut down.
Just because of this bison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went over to a different creek. I think I told you this, called No Gold Creek. I don't think there's any gold on No Gold Creek. Didn't have a good winter.
Because he couldn't go to the other place because of the bison.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass.
Ron Roman's his name. He's a...
Was there any other way to do it? Was there a way to work around it?
That was the only other ground he had. They tied up the whole thing. I mean, you're done. And then when they were done, he went back in.
But is it his land?
Yeah, it was patented land that he had. It was my company land. He was on my ground.
And they have the ability to just shut things down for a discovery like that?
Yes, they did.
How come they don't have the ability
He was a nice guy. And they said,
let him do it?
We're going to get in here. It will take us a day to get it out. He said, go ahead.
I see.
And then they said, we can't do it. It's the whole thing.
And then they could never get him out of there.
They took it out. Took him all summer to get it.
And then it fucked him.
Yeah, you only get 100 days to mine where the water turns to ice.
Right.
If you're not mining then, you're done. So every day is a 1% day.
Oh, that's terrible.
Or 10%. It's like every day.
So that must have been terrible financially for him.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible. He had nothing but pork and beans all winter. He's the one that found the woolly mammoth.
And is there any other way to mine around that, where you're not going in that one area?
If you rely on somebody telling you
what
you
can and can't do,
we'll get back in here. You can be back here day after tomorrow. Any miner that I know would say, okay,
right,
come do it. I know I'm going to lose a day, but we'll work on equipment that day. But if you come back in the day after tomorrow and they say, sorry, we're going to be here for a few months.
What would you do?
I wouldn't tell them I found the fucking thing.
Because you have experience with these kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even, it's not like I'm keeping this discovery a secret. People tell me.
How many Instagram followers you have?
500 and over 500,000.
Yeah, it's not a secret. Let's see how much it is after today, too.
Well, I appreciate you doing this because it gives us an ability to get the word out.
Yes.
And it's important to get the word out to get the other things to fall in place.
Yeah, I think it's important, too.
And I appreciate the fact that you You enjoy the shit out of this prehistory stuff, dude.
I do. I love it, and I also love the way you're handling it. I think we're very fortunate that a guy like you owns that piece, where you're willing to talk about it publicly and make a stink about it and let everybody know. Like, there's a real part of the puzzle in the history of this earth that's right there.
It's not that even that complicated a puzzle. The puzzling part is, what the fuck is AM&H doing? They've had those bones in their basement for 100 fucking years. They were required in the original deal to do a report on every bone they took, and they were only supposed to take bones of scientific value. This bone has no scientific value to them. They took it. This bone has no scientific value to them. They took it. None of the bones they took have scientific value, primarily because they don't know where they found them. I have all that information in my files. I have all the stratigraphic information of everything they found. Don't you guys think you ought to weld it to me?
Yeah.
And we'll say, well, this bone came out of 35 feet on Woodchopper Creek, Coldstream Creek, Miller Creek, whatever creek it came off.
So you could be able to find the exact locations and where it was dug.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. In a best case scenario, what would happen? They would give you the bones back, and then what would you do?
The experts would come in. After I built a facility where they study them, I understand they're not going to we have a lab in San Francisco. We're going to send the bones to San Francisco. We'll have a lab here. I'll build the motherfucker. I've already offered this up to them, and they still don't jump on the chance. How many dumb shits are around like me?
Maybe you have to build it first, and they will come like the fucking Field of Dreams.
Yeah, that was a movie. By the way, I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
But I've learned my lesson on if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Because we just built one. They didn't show up. So we use it. We use it for our own purposes.
Well, maybe we could put the bat signal out here on this show, and there's got to be some paleontologists that are absolutely fascinated by this, that are willing to figure out a way to make it work.
Because they just can't take the bones out of Alaska.
Right.
And they got to be like no bullshit researchers, scientists, people that know what they're talking about, because I don't.
They're going to want it for museums, huh?
They can't have it.
Right, but that's probably what's going to, like, if they do find some extraordinary stuff, the way they get value out of it is by putting it on display. Doing studies on it and then putting it on display so people can come pay money to see it, right?
If I go to AM&H, let's say once a week for 52 weeks, it's the same displays every week. So all the stuff they collect doesn't go on display. It goes down in the storage, or it goes out in the East River. The deal with my company, the nozzlemen, they called them, there were 200 guys working giants. And the giant guys, the nozzle guys, part of the perks of working for that company was if you find a tusk, you can have it. They could take the tusks home with them.
Really?
Yeah, and the skulls and whatever else they found.
No one cared back then?
Nobody cared. The company didn't care. Take them. And then these guys from New York, the swift-talking city dudes, they come in and go, oh, we want them. So they made it so the men couldn't take them, and they took them all. Scientific value, nothing. They took them all. Well, let's just imagine you're the grandson of one of the old-style nozzlemen who's now dead, but he passed that tusk along to his kid, and now it's yours. That tusk could be worth $200,000. That could come in handy to that family. Maybe they could have used that money along the way instead of not having it. Instead
of the AM&H just having it in their basement.
And the letter that is on there talks about hundreds of tusks that were shipped there. I've seen them. It's not like I'm making this shit up. I was down there. I took pictures of them.
You were down there in the basement?
In the basement. It's incredible. These big crates haven't been opened ever.
And they're just filled with tusks?
Well, the tusks are on these big shelves. Like you see at Costco, they go way up high.
Yeah. Just shelves of tusks.
And bison heads and stuff. And then the crates are the bones. Leg bones, teeth.
How the fuck can they just leave that there?
It's in storage.
But that seems so insane. That you have this extraordinary place that really doesn't get attention until you get on social media. and then the world knows about it, but they've known about it for 100 years. Like, that seems like something you would want people to know about.
Nobody gave a shit. My company didn't care until, they didn't envision a guy like me coming along and owning this company. They had no. When I bought the company, I started going through the files, going, let's see what I bought. Let's see what. Oh, look at that! I got a lease with the government. Oh, here's another one. I got another lease with the government. Yeah, I got a piece over here. A guy offered to buy. Now I don't want to sell it. So I go through all these things, and I find the deal with the bones. And I went to the museum. I said, I bought Alaska Gold Company. I want to go get the bones. He goes, I was wondering when you're going to show up. Off to New York we go. Got bullshitted. Oh, yeah, we're going to return them after we take care of the asbestos abatement problem up down there. Anyway, I told you all this. And they have yet to get a hold of us. It's gone to our state legislature to see if they can help. It's coming back to Alaska. Those are my bones. And if they're afraid that it's going to go, well, Reeves, they're worth a lot of money, he could sell them. Look, just send them back.
Also,
and if I want to sell them, I'll sell them. They're my bones.
Also, you haven't sold what you have. Like, It doesn't even make any sense.
It's a fucking hobby. We're all queer for something. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect coins. My mom used to collect napkins, quilts and stuff like that. I collect bones and historic sites. I like I got a degree in history. You probably didn't know that. Historic preservation. I like to fix up old shit. I was talking to a guy about the Nana, where the Golden Spike was driven by Harding. That just went up for auctions on Christie's.
What is that? Explain that.
A Golden Spike, railroad spike, that Warren Harding came up and drove in the railroad back in the 20s when they completed the Alaska Railroad from Anchorage up to Nenana.
How do they keep someone from stealing that?
Well, they didn't leave it in there long.
Oh.
They drove it in. They took the photo op. They did all that.
Then pulled it out.
Pulled it out, and somebody bought it, and somebody else bought it.
Whoa! Look
go.
at that. That's crazy. Wow.
So I did some figuring on the weight of it, and figured how much gold content was in it.
$200,000.
Yep.
Wow.
It was only valued at like 30 to 50.
But just the historical significance of it makes it worth $200,000.
Yeah. And I know the guys that bought it. I was on the auction. I had the guy on the phone, and it didn't take long for me to go past. No, I ain't buying it. I don't want it. And it kept going and kept going and kept going.
What'd you think it was going to stop at?
I was going to stop at around 70. It kept going. It kept going. It kept going.
Well, that's probably the same kind of thing that happened with your saber-tooth tiger skull.
Oh, fuck. That was given away to somebody.
You think so?
Oh, God.
You don't think somebody gave him money for it?
Oh, they gave money, but it wasn't sold. It was like
a donation.
I'm a benefactor. Here's for the new wing.
Right.
What do you got? You got any of that Egyptian stuff laying around?
Yeah.
I want a sarcophagus. What do you say, boys?
I bet there's a ton of old school families that have like deep old school money that have stuff like that squirreled away somewhere.
Well, you can. They're always getting arrested for stealing shit. Mostly they're museum employees. If you ever Google it, it's amazing what these guys steal from the. Oh yeah. Museums aren't money makers.
Right.
You're going to make money. You're not going to go own a museum. You're going to go do whatever you do to make money. But museums don't make money. So the guys that work there, they go out in the field, and some guy says, well, look what I found. Well, that's very interesting. That looks like a saber-tooth. It looks like just a cow head. Well, can you find out for me? Yeah, sure. I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah.
And off he goes.
Who's got the bones? Timeline reveals Park Service employees covered up theft of ancient remains. Case of missing bones from the Effigy Mounds National Monument. Took multiple investigations and more than 20 years to locate them. Wow. I'm not shocked.
Well, we got a site in Florida that we've allowed the University of North Florida to dig on for decades. It's on a Indian mound there right on the St. Johns River. And every year I allow them to come out and dig. And so far they've found hundreds of thousands of artifacts We're talking about archaeological stuff. Arrowheads, shark's teeth with drilled holes through them, jewelry, beads, you name it. Whatever they made out of fish bones and animal bones. And
how do you wind up always finding these spots to park at where it turns out there's a bunch of ancient stuff in them?
My parents bought this property when I was a young guy, but I spent a lot of time as a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kid just digging. I like digging in the dirt. And the Alaska stuff was about gold, but it didn't take long to find the bones. And the bones, to me, they're more fun. They're more, they're not worth anything to me because I don't sell them.
Another scandal that the AMNH was involved in recently.
Facing scrutiny, a museum that holds 12,000 human remains changes course. American Museum of National History said it would address its collecting of remains, which stretched into the 1940s, and including practices now viewed as abusive and racist. So it must be Native American bones.
There's a bunch of
Wow.
all sorts of stuff, actually, but same time period we're talking about.
I like how they put it. They're planning to overhaul their stewardship of more than 12,000 human remains. Painful legacy of collecting practices that saw the museum acquire the skeletons of indigenous and enslaved people taken from their graves and the bodies of New Yorkers who died as recently as the 1940s. Wow.
They probably got some of
Whoa.
those.
Yeah.
Reconstruction of a burial of a warrior from Mongolia in about 1000 AD. Wow. They decided to remove that?
I mean, that's just a picture. I don't
What are
know.
they going to leave it there? What are you doing?
I
I
just
want to go
brought it
look.
They were obviously doing some stuff. And
Oh, they're
yeah.
not. They're not the only ones doing this. Smithsonian's doing this stuff too.
I'm sure.
And there's not much I can do about it. I mean, it's
Well, especially there's no argument if they've had it sitting on their shelves for all this time.
and I've offered to make this happen. Let's get it back here. It's, an endless, tilt in the windmill and all that stuff. But, I never met you before a few years ago. And prior to that, I would just say the only guy I'll talk to is Joe Rogan about this. Because if I'm going to talk to anybody, I'm going to talk to the most influential man on earth. And you weren't supposed to call me. But here I am for the third time.
Listen, of course I was supposed to. I'm fascinated.
Because I didn't want to tell this story. I just wanted to keep boning. And now that it's going, everybody wants me to do all this fucking work. I'm not a research scientist. I don't have all these machines. I can't do all this stuff. What are you asking me for? Go to AMNH. That's their job. That's what they got paid to do. What are you chewing my ass for?
Well, best case scenario, as we described, they give it back to you. Researchers get involved. You build a facility on site. They study it. Everybody learns. Everybody's happy.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when we have some knowledge at the end of the day
Yeah.
that we don't have now and we won't get if we don't do something like this. Because all my bones come from one little 2-acre spot. And you talk about in situ, in place, it's right there.
Yeah.
You can't find a bone here and find one 9 miles away and somehow say they're from the same area. But you can sure find them there, and you can find out where they exactly came from. You can figure out what that piece you're holding. You can tell how many times it had sex, male or female, what its diet was, where it traveled to. There's things that you can find out in the collagen that you could never find out 20, 30 years ago. So it's kind of cool. And
It's very cool.
I just got to wait for these other guys to come along. I talked to Max out there. He's my other son-in-law with Drew, and married to my penultimate daughter, Jordan. And he's a really good lawyer. And his interest is in NIL. Have you heard of that?
No.
NIL is name, image, likeness.
Oh, okay.
For the kids coming out of high school, college, and stuff for the pro sports.
Mm-hmm.
And he played football for Oregon. He was a center. I watched him play in the Rose Bowl. Good guy. And we were talking a little bit about the legalities of stuff like this. And he's pretty good on contracts, and he's read this stuff and said, you got him by the balls, man, because you got the receipts. I guarantee you those guys don't have the receipts. They probably trashed them years ago. But I got every one of them. I got all the letters. I got the communications.
Well, John, I really hope you make some ground. I really do.
I plan on
No
it.
pun intended.
We'll tear some up.
You're tearing some ground up. I appreciate you're out there always fighting this fight and letting people know about this extraordinary discovery that you found on your place, man. It's fucking amazing. It's always great to have you here. Let's keep doing it.
It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure seeing you and Jamie.
Every year I hope we make a little progress.
Yeah,
Next
we
year
will.
I hope we have something big to discuss.
Yep.
I hope it cracks. I hope this motivates a lot of people, this podcast, and I think people need to be refreshed every year to realize what an extraordinary place you have and how crazy it is that there's not more work being done here.
Yeah. It's such a simple solution. Just do the right thing.
Just do the right thing.
And just call me up and say, okay, come get them. I'll have tractor trailers parked out there in 24 hours. Let's load them up, boys. They're going north. Put them on the rail out in Seattle. Send them farther north. We got warehouses full of this stuff. I'm at the point now where I'm going, maybe I should just concentrate on what we do for a living instead of the hobby. I can keep digging them up, but what good is it if we're not going to study them? I'm going to leave that area alone. It's got good gold. I don't need to dig the gold out of there. The gold's beneath the bones. And we got to get to the gold. You got to go through the bones. And we'll get the gold someday. But we found a spot out north of town where we couldn't get drilled to bedrock. It's 450 feet deep. The old timers tried to drill it, and they couldn't go deep. They couldn't get to the bottom of it. And I think that's where the fucking hot stuff hit.
Really?
25 miles north of town. I think that's where the hot stuff hit. 450 feet, and you don't hit bedrock? Are you kidding? What happened there? It blew a fucking hole in the ground.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't own that claim, but I know who does. I'm not telling them where it's at.
Yeah.
But I have the records that show what happened there.
Well, I hope somebody does some investigations on that.
It'd be cool.
Fuck yeah, it would be.
The answers, there's a lot of answers in these bones that we don't know what the questions are yet. So it's nice that you enabled me to come in and
John, I appreciate you
bullshit
very
with
much. You're the fucking man.
You're the man.
Always great to see you.
You're the guy.
Thank you for all the stuff, too.
You bet. Thank you.
That will take a permanent spot on the desk now.
Good.
Thank you, brother.
Mammoth magic, dude.
Yes, I feel it. I feel magic coming off of it.
Yeah, you will. I got you some guitar picks in there.
All right.
Too.
I'll give more to Gary. We'll
Good.
do it again next year, my
And
friend.
I'll set you up if you got any other players
Okay.
you want.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.